Frank, you're on.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Pompton Lakes Planning Board to order. Formal written advance notice is required by NJSA 10:4-1. That SEC has been provided of this meeting at least 48 hours in advance of today, giving the time, date, and location, and to the extent known at the time, the agenda of the meeting. Such notice stated that formal action may or may not be taken. The notice was posted on the bulletin board outside of the offices of the municipal clerk, reserved for this and other similar announcements. Provided to the Suburban Trends, the newspaper designated by the Borough Council to receive such notices, and filed with the Borough Clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Okay. Mr. Simone?
Here.
Mr. Otto?
Here.
Mr. Trost?
Here.
Dr. Pendexter? Mr. Bowlby?
Here.
Mr. Keating?
Here.
Mayor Sarah?
Here.
Councilman Quinn?
Here.
Mr. Bootsma?
Here.
And Mr. Foster?
Here.
Okay, first item on the agenda is minutes of the regular meeting from May 20, 2025. Have you all had a chance to review the minutes, and are there any comments? I'll look for a motion to approve, if so.
Motion.
Second?
Trost?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion, any
Mr.
corrections?
Bowlby? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She wanted to know who moved and seconded, so.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Okay. Mr. Simone?
Present.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Mr. Trost?
Yes.
Mr. Bowlby?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Councilman Quinn is present. Mr. Bootsma?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Approval of bills, Donald Toski Engineering Associates. Do we need a motion on that, or just?
Yeah.
We do, okay.
Just the total amount?
The amount, the total amount.
Yeah, $1,930 is one, and $230 is the other, for a total of $2,160. May I have a motion, please?
Motion. I'll second it.
Okay.
Keating and Bowlby?
Yep.
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the application sequence on here. We're going to do the H2M Associates housing element first. That one is critical because it has to be into the state by the end of June, and it still has to go to the council meeting after this. So we'll do that one first. The second one we're going to do is going to be the high school, or Pompton Lakes Board of Ed. It's for the running track, et cetera, down at Hirschfield Park. And then we'll go back to the regular order, which is Sarah Realty and Wanacue Avenue. That's applications 2501 and 2502. So just letting you know that that's the sequence we're going to follow. Also, because we have so many people here tonight, thank you for coming. We appreciate having the input from the public. We don't see it too often. The way this works is we will have 4 things on the agenda tonight. Each one will have a public comment period. So whatever we discuss, there will be discussion among the body. At one point or another, I will say it's open to the public. If you care to speak to anything on that particular application, please come up here. There's a microphone here. You just need to state your name and home address. And then we'll move on to your questions. And then for the next application, the same thing. And you're welcome to stand up at each time and speak to all 4 if you wish. And then there'll be one final opportunity after everything is done and over for any comments that are other than applications. So that's just kind of how we're going to run the meeting tonight. Okay, first thing is correspondence, memo from Liz Branson from the Borough of Oakland. They're doing the same thing we are with a 4th round housing element and fair share plan. This is required, it's mandated by the state. There's another memo from Liz Branson appointing council liaison Patrick Quinn to the planning board to fill an empty slot, and welcome Mr. Quinn.
Thank you.
With that said, let's go right to H2M Associates. and this is for the Borough of Pompton Lakes fourth round housing element and fair share plan. I will ask our attorney if you want to say anything before we get started. Go right ahead.
Thank you. As you all may remember from some of you may remember from last meeting if you were here, one of the tasks, one of the jobs of the planning board is to adopt the master plan for the borough. You update that periodically too. And there are several elements. One is the housing element. As you also may know, New Jersey has an affordable housing obligation that has been around since the mid-1970s in a series of New Jersey Supreme Court cases called the Mountain Laurel decisions that have found that all municipalities in the state of New Jersey have an obligation to provide a reasonable expectation of affordable housing. And now exactly putting a definition on that has been a battle for the last 45 years, but currently the manner in which that is determined is legislation that was signed about a year and a half ago by Governor Murphy, by which the DCA sets a target number. All the municipalities can debate and decide whether they want to challenge that a little bit. And if you go through the process of working with the DCA and going through that, then you are immune from lawsuits by builders. Builders' remedy suits are things that happen when the affordable housing obligation is unmet by a municipality, and a builder can come in and say, I want to build multi-level, 10-story building over there with multi-level units to satisfy your obligation, and the court may allow that to happen. So in order to make the decision ourselves, the borough has worked through that process and worked with SON and H2M to develop a plan whereby the number that was calculated and agreed upon, how it could be satisfied. And that involves allowing for a certain number of affordable housing units to potentially be put in certain areas of the borough. Has to be done. And so in order for that to happen, eventually the zone and ordinances will have to get changed. Prior to that, you have to have in your master plan that would allow for that, because all ordinances must be consistent with your master plan. So that's what's on for tonight. Every municipality in the state of New Jersey has been doing this for the last 2 months. And we kind of had a prep session last month. And this is now the adoption of the housing element and fair share plan it's a portion of your master plan. That's what's before you tonight. Some will present. If you have any questions, obviously ask the questions, then members of the public, but then we also then have a resolution that, barring a lightning strike, must be adopted. So the borough remains in compliance and is not subject to a builder's remedy suit. With that being said, I would ask that some be sworn in and present the plan that's before you.
Please.
Please raise your right hand, state your name, and spell your last.
I'm sorry?
State your name and spell your last.
Okay. The name is Enriqueta Sanchavan. My last name is Chavan.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And I'd just like to note that the plan that you'll be discussing has been on file with the clerk and the secretary of the board. Members have received a copy. It's online, and all the notices have been provided.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As you know, I was here a month ago. I provided a brief overview. Some of you weren't present, so few of my first few slides would just provide an overview of the process that Andy eloquently presented. As I'm, municipalities have a constitutional obligation. I also have shared printouts of my PowerPoint. So municipalities have a constitutional obligation to adopt a housing plan element and fair share plan. And the Fair Housing Act was a legislative response to the two landmark Mount Laurel cases, and it provided a basis for establishing the Council on Affordable Housing. So we always talk about COA, that's what the acronym stands for. And this slide basically just provides you an overview since the past 38 years. And as you all know, the borough has strived to maintain compliance with the New Jersey Fair Housing Act, especially through the numerous iterations of the third round plans to comply with the fourth round as well. So this slide basically provides you with the background. The governor signed A4 S50 bill on March 20th, 2024, so it's been around for more than a year. The bill amended the Fair Housing Act. It eliminated COA, created new processes, updated and changed the previous rules, and assigned the Department of Community Affairs to allocate obligation for each municipality. It was published in October of last year, and that set forth specific deadlines, and I'll get to it in a bit. So when we talk about affordable housing, and every municipality has to provide their fair share for the region, this is all mandated through the legislation. It's been around for, as I said, almost 40 years, and the state is divided into 6 housing regions, and the DCA calculated affordable housing for each of those regions, and the Pompton Lakes is a part of Housing Region 1, which consists of Bergen, Hudson, Passaic, and Sussex counties. So for Region 1, what is affordable housing? So affordable housing is housing that's rented or sold by households that are classified as low and mod, and the municipality must provide for units as per their fair share, and each affordable unit must be reserved for lower moderate income for a period up to 40 years, and this is enforced through a deed restriction. And what I did in this slide is to give you an understanding of what really constitutes median moderate income. So for example, if you look at that, the table, if you look at a 4-person household, any annual income of 101,000 or lower is considered moderate income. 63,000 and lower is considered low income, and this is as per the HUD calculations. This is given to us by the state. Now, for home ownership units, the monthly carrying costs, which is like mortgage, homeowner, etc., should not exceed 28% of their annual income, the household income. And for a rental unit, the rent for their housing should not exceed 30% of their monthly income. So those are the 2 thresholds to establish affordability in New Jersey. Now, this slide talks about all the mandatory deadlines. So first, we have to adopt a binding resolution, which we did on January 22nd. The governing body needed to adopt that. And the second part is now where we are to adopt the 4th round plan, which has a deadline of June 30th. Now, as our attorney mentioned, if a municipality does not adopt the housing plan, we are susceptible to builders' remedy lawsuits. So the role of the planning board is to adopt the housing plan element, but unlike the master plan, it's entirely adopted by the planning board. In this case, for a housing plan element and fair share plan, it needs to be endorsed by the governing body. So the next step would be at the next meeting, the governing body would endorse this. They have to adopt spending plans, supporting resolutions, ordinances, etc., etc. So I go on to the next. What are the required contents of a housing plan element? So, the document that I submitted is basically based on what's required by statute. So we look at what the population demographic changes, employment characteristics, housing stock. We also look at lands most appropriate for construction of low and moderate income housing. Um, and if it's within Highlands, we analyze compliance with Highlands and also look at consistency with the New Jersey State Development and Redevelopment Law plan. Sorry. So, based on the DCA number, we have two things that we need to satisfy. First is present need, which is rehabilitation's share. It's an estimate of existing deficient housing currently occupied by low and mod income housing. They use census data. There's a whole process that they've been using for the past 45 years. So our obligation is 45, and what that means is we don't have to do anything except have a program in place, which we've had. I think we have Triad, who is our affordable housing administrator. So this is just a continuation of that. But then a new thing is, which is new construction obligation, which is prospective need. And this reflects the number of units that must be created or zoned or planned for the period from 2025 until 2035, so the next 10 years. And that obligation is a total of 105. So the statutes changed, and basically there are certain percentage that needs to be allocated to family housing. There's a threshold for age-restricted housing, rental housing, and low income, very low income. And there's that threshold, as I mentioned here, that is applicable to all affordable housing plans throughout the state. This is as per the statutes. So now, really what is important is, can we really plan all the 105 units, which we all know that the town is built out, right? But the statutes allow for something called as a vacant land analysis. So when a municipality like Pompton Lake lacks sufficient developable land, then it's entitled to a vacant land adjustment, where a municipality is required to identify how much of vacant land is truly available, and based on that, they must create a realistic development of opportunity, which is called as the RDP. The acronym is RDP. And we did an analysis. We looked at all the vacant parcels, environmental constraints, etc., which have been included in the appendix. And Pompton Lakes has no vacant land available, so therefore the RDP is 0. The 105 units then is now what we call as unmet need. And what that means is, it has changed with the new statutes, with the A4 legislation. In the past, you could just say, okay, this is your unmet need. We understand we need to satisfy. In this iteration, the legislation wants to provide mechanisms to address at least 25% of the adjusted number. So 25% of 105 is about 27. And again, the legislation is not clear. We are not sure what it means, but this is the most conservative approach. So we have taken that into consideration. So again, the vacant land, I've submitted plans showing how it's encumbered. As you can see from here, it's either built or is encumbered by green acres. The red building are all public property, which are in the Rossi or easements, etc., etc. So we really don't have land available. So moving on to the next slide. So how are we going to address the 27 units? And Our prior round, and I'd mentioned this in, at our main meeting, the prior round had anticipated planning for the future rounds, and in that one was the, the Tilcon quarry site and the areas around it, which was proposed to be rezoned to AH1, which the governing body did that in on December 4th, 2019 through ordinance number 1926. So we already have that affordable housing zone, and we anticipate that this will create a total of 27 affordable units, which can be used to address our affordable housing need. So this shows the Tilcon Quarry area, and you can see from this image, which, the area that got rezoned, and as I mentioned, to approximately 136 units with 27 affordable, which is a 20% set aside. Oops. So this is it. I'm at the end of my presentation, and ready to take any questions.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the board first to see if you all have any questions about the presentation and what the state numbers are and what our method is of satisfying the state numbers.
I've got all my questions answered last.
Okay, anybody on the board have any questions? Okay, we're required to have a public session on this so that the public has a chance to comment on this. It becomes part of the record. If you care to comment on this, come forward, again, state your name, your address, and you will be sworn in for this because it needs to go on the record to the state. So with that said, does anyone in the audience care to participate in the open session? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public session. We'll just note that there were no comments.
There's no comments.
Mm-hmm.
And if the board is satisfied, doesn't have any questions, you do have a resolution that we prepared. Thank you. Sure, if you did or we did. But it's on for the resolutions. It's adopting the housing element fair share plan and amending your master plan. So if there are no questions and you're satisfied, I would recommend that be considered for approval.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the resolution adopting the housing element and fair share plan and amending master plan for the Borough of Pompton Lakes. I need a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Trost? Second?
Second.
Mr. Keating? Okay, any discussion on the resolution which was prepared for this specific reason? Seeing none, I will take a roll call vote on this, please.
Mr. Simone?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Mr. Trost?
Yes.
Mr. Bowlby?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Councilman Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. Bootsma?
Yes.
And Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Son.
Thanks, Hassan, for taking the time. This put a lot of hours between the borough administrator, Hassan, even myself, the attorneys, to put this together, to bring it to these boards. This is a year process to make this happen, and it's on a time frame, so thank you for all the time.
And then once you get it for your next meeting, then
And
it's...
I'll note that this is not San's first this week. She has more, and she has more next week, too. So
Yes.
it's every municipality in the state of New Jersey.
Next week.
Next week, I'll see you.
Yep.
Well, as I said earlier, this correspondence at Oakland, you're going to be doing this exact same thing.
Thank you, Son.
Okay, so the next item now we're going to go to, for expedience, is the high school, which was application number 25-03, Land Associates Engineering, Planning, Architecture, and Surveying, Pompton Lakes Board of Education, 14 Hirschfield Park Place, Block 8706, lots 1 and 4, Zone R4. It's a capital review plot project for synthetic track, bleachers, and press box. And if you would briefly explain the purpose of this and our limitations on reviewing this.
Thank you. Again, this is one of the different tasks that the planning board has. You've had a few of these come before you. It's called a capital review, Section 31 of the municipal land use law. if a governmental entity in their municipality is going to be expending funds on a land use project development, they come to the board to present. This is not an application, there's no reason for people to be sworn in, although I'm sure they'll all tell the truth, but it is a explanation of what the board intends to do. Your job is to review it and to give comments on its consistency with the master plan, any other recommendations you may have. And it's kind of open-ended, whether, if there's any inconsistencies with your ordinance or your master plan on how they might want to do it. It might be perfectly consistent, but it is not something that you approve or disapprove. They are obligated to present to you. You provide your thoughts on its consistency with the master plan and any other comments. And at the end, I think I do have a resolution for you to consider. At the end, essentially checking off this box that they have done their capital review. With that being said, I will turn it over to them.
Mr. Amoroso, welcome.
Thank you. So what you have in front of you is a proposed plan for improvements to the Board of Ed owned property down at Hirschfield Park. It includes a replacement of the bleachers on both sides, replacing the existing press box, and replacing the cinder track with all-weather synthetic track. The limitation on the project, for various reasons, is that the Board of Ed has to stay within the existing footprint. So in looking at all of the possible options, and it's been a priority of the board for a number of years to make improvements down at Hirschfield, this is what we think is the best path forward. To my right is Fei Shi. She is an engineer with Land Associates, which is the architectural and engineering firm that the board uses.
Thank you for introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Fei Shi. I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of New Jersey. My current license is valid until April 2026. I'm currently employed by Land Associates in Midland Park, Bergen County. I have been testified as a professional engineer in Paramus, Bergen County, P-PAC, Gladstone, Somerset County, and also I've been testified at this board for the Lakeside Middle School bleacher project last year, I think. So I will quickly walk through the scope of work and some background information on this project. Just so you know, the electronic copy it's different than the latest site plan that I have sent to the professionals and the board. So this is a little bit slight change on the screen right now. The district wishes to improve their athletic facilities by replacing the running track, press box, and the bleachers, along with the fencings, perimeter fencings, sidewalk installations. So this shows the new improvement that we have we are going to propose 4 lanes of the rubberized running track, and we're going to provide about 800 seating for the home site, which is Plan North, where my first is. And we're providing about 500 seating capacities for the visitor bleacher at the Plan South. And just so you know, the river is at the bottom of the plan, and the north is to the left-hand side. And our site is currently located, sits on Hirschfield Park Place, and the site is bordered with the borough's properties. So I covered the bleacher press box. Okay. Because the disturbance is over 1 acre, this triggers the project to be a major development defined by NJAC 78. We have proposed a 2.5 deep stormwater basin at this location No, just one, yeah. we combined it. So it's showing 2 basins right now, but we have revised it to be just 1 basin at this location. So the basin is to address the additional stormwater runoffs. We have sized the outlet control and the basin to meet the current and the projected storm events required by NJDEP. We are going to, let me move to the next slide. Oh, I don't have it. We're going to pipe the stormwater and connect to the catch basin on the street, which is this one, if you can see my mouse. So all the work will be done within the school district properties, except for the demolition of the current press box, which is at the plan south. We will have the borough to sign off the property owner's certificate at one point in the future to allow us to officially removing the current press box. We will backfill and stabilize the ground once the foundation has been removed. I'm going to cover the courtesy review comments provided by Collier. So the first comment is we have to address that the applicant may wish to provide testimony as to whether these items will be salvaged and reutilized. So the school will be reusing the batting cage so the school will be reutilizing the batting cage. We have confirmed with the school. The second comment is the applicant should provide confirmation of the presence or absence of either the asbestos removal. So we are working with the school to get the records or reports of whether the current press box has asbestos or not. So it's in the process. Should I go over these comments at the board?
Yeah, you should, because if not, she will have to as well.
Okay.
So we'll just coordinate it between the 2 of you.
Okay, the comment C is ADA compliant. Okay, it appears both these sides. So most of these are just nothing for me to address. I think
Comment C is a statement, really, about the sidewalks. It was not a question.
Right.
I agree with you on that one.
Okay, yeah, also you're the engineer. So I would move to number 2, grading drainage site. Number D, the site plan proposed 2 vegetative stormwater infiltration basin. Initially, yes, but we have revised the plan because we did the stormwater analysis that we can just combine them into one. I think you probably received our latest site plan.
I did.
Physical. Okay.
Yes.
So all the updates are there.
There was just a discrepancy between the plans, and then you had drainage plans within the stormwater report, and they were different, so.
Yes, because these were very schematic that we used for the Department of Education submission. So later we had the full design. Okay.
Thank you.
So number E is still the same testimony on the stormwater regulations. Number F is applicant should provide testimony to confirm the lighting. So because the existing lighting that the school district has rarely used it, and it's also going to be conflict with the new bleacher and the press box installation. So the school has agreed to remove it completely.
So there will be no lighting of the field whatsoever?
Right, so those existing lights, those are the old lights on the one side. We used to use those when the clocks changed and we were, the season was beyond the daylight savings time. Now, If and when that happens, the football team just moves up to Lakeside to practice, where we have the lights. So there's really no need for those lights. And the press box is going to the other side, because we can fit more bleachers on that side and without disrupting the batting cage, which is on the current home side. So there's no plan at this time to add lighting, so we would continue playing Saturday afternoons.
Thank you for confirming. Yeah, I just noticed you were removing lights and that there were none going back in. So in terms of timing, when the kids use the field, that's what my concern was. But
Yeah,
I
there's
think you
just
answered it.
3 or 4 set banks of lights. They've been there for 30 years. Maybe longer.
They were their own
Maybe
house
longer.
again. So
Yeah,
you're
but
looking
we
45
will
at least.
provide emergency lights for the bleachers.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I addressed all your comments. Does anyone have additional comments or questions?
Anybody on the engineering portion of it? I would assume that the reason that there's 4 lanes is because you can't get another couple of lanes in there to make it like an official.
Right, so we looked at a 400-meter regulation 6-lane track, even a 5-lane track, 4-lane track, and that track would extend beyond the existing footprint. It would have to be angled actually, about a 30-degree angle, and it would encroach upon designated green acres space. So we had a meeting with the DEP, and it just seemed that could potentially delay the project many years, and not even being sure at the end of that review that we'd be able to do anything. So I think it's a 330-yard track, but it would be 4 consistent lanes, synthetic, all wet rubberized track. The advantage would be that at least our sprinters, it's a 110-meter run on the north side, which is enough for the spring boys hurdles, girls hurdles, 100-meter sprinters. So right now, we don't even have that for the kids. And of course, it would be open to the community, and I think an improvement for everyone.
Do you have a time frame when this would start and how long it would take to complete?
Start.
I think it's a 14-month lead time, is it before?
Yeah, because first, after like a final design, we have to submit for DEP to get individual permit because it's in a floodway. So that's gonna take about at least, I would say, half year to 8 months.
Sure.
Or a year of review. Then once we get permits, we can go out to bid. That's
So we had slotted after the fall of 2026 football season, if things kind of move along, so
Okay.
that's about a year and a half.
Does any board member have any questions right now?
I have an additional
Yes.
question. Just going off of the lighting question that we talked about a little bit earlier, I understand that, you can use Lakeside as a resource and that it's best to just get it going as quick as possible. The only question is, in the event that Lakeside becomes an overutilized resource, if the school system expands, if more people want to use that field, is there the possibility for, possibly adding in lighting at a later date? Do you have the space for that, or have you considered that?
So I think that the lights that exist shine on a small portion of what's considered the practice football field, so they've never been used for actual games or large spectator events. It's really just to shine some light when it gets dark early in the fall on the practice, on a 30, 40-yard practice, portion of the practice field. Down the road, it's possible that lights could be added. If they're allowed to be added, I would defer to the engineer on what the limitations are.
That would be another capital review that would come back.
Sure.
Yeah, we have, after the running track, this project, we have the space for the side lighting. It's just for school to consider for next phase.
All I needed to know. Thank
So
you.
it could be added.
Mayor?
Just want to make everybody aware, we put a lot of money and time into Hirschfield Park right now. We're doing the walkways, we're going to get a new bridge, we're putting new playground that's already in. This is just going to enhance what we're doing down there, making the whole area look brand new coming into what we're doing. So it's a good time to do this project because we hope to have our project. We're going to have a new rec house there. The old garage is going to be all redone in stone. So it's going to make the whole area look really nice, including with this, I think.
Okay, if there's no more right now questions from the board, I'll open this to the public. If anyone from the public care to make a comment or have a question about this project? Seeing none, I'll close the public session. So at this point, there's really nothing that we're adding to, what's gone on. We really don't have any recommendations per se. So this will be,
I prepared a resolution.
Hi?
I did
You did prepare,
a resolution.
okay.
A resolution prepared that it finds that it is not inconsistent with the master plan and acknowledging that they have satisfied their
Requirements.
the obligation to come and present to the board.
Mhm.
I did put the wrong date of the plans that were submitted, so the resolutions that before you will correct that date. But apart from that, if you so choose, that you can consider that resolution, which again, just recognizes that they've satisfied their obligation and it is not inconsistent. I know that's funny, but that's what we have to say.
Okay. Okay, so with that said, we have resolution, basically consenting, so to speak, with what's going on here, that it's consistent, or as you said, not inconsistent. I love that. And basically, that's what we're going to approve tonight, and all we need is a motion and a second on that. Motion. Motion, Mr. O'Leary.
Bowlby?
Second. Second, Mr. Otto.
Otto?
Okay, any discussion on that? All right, you have the resolution, you'll have that prepared.
Oh, it is prepared. I don't know if we got distributed. I think that's it.
The resolution is basically saying what you just said.
Exactly.
And aside from the date being changed and me signing it, we're good to go on that.
That is correct.
Okay, so with that, can we have a roll call, please? We don't have to get out.
Okay. Mr. Simone?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Mr. Trost?
Yes.
Mr. Bowlby?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Councilman Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. Bootsma?
Yes.
And Mr. Foster?
Yes.
All right, thank you all. Thanks, Paul, for coming out with the presentation. Jared, good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Doing anything with the snack stand?
Thank you. Okay, that's two down. Next one is PB 25-01, Sarah Realty LLC, 714, 720 Hamburg Turnpike, Pompton Lakes, Block 9001, Lot 11, Zone GWD. Also, welcome, Mr. Malenik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we did switch them. I think it's those two first.
Did we switch the other one?
Yes.
I sent you an email.
Oh, yeah, that's true, I'm sorry, you're right, sorry. So we'll go to PB 2502, 60 Wanacue Avenue, Realty Urban Renewal, 60 Wanacue Avenue, Pompton Lakes, Block 2400, Lot 1, Zone DRA2. Mr. Malenik, so floor is yours.
Very good. We're just going to set up a computer real quick. While that's happening, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good to see you all again. We are here. Yeah, you can plug your. Yeah, why don't we get it set up first?
You guys get the award for the biggest set of plans tonight. The other ones pale by comparison. All right, that's 60.
There we go. All right, let's start over. Good evening, members of the board. Good to see you all again. You are likely familiar with this project. It's been before you in the capacity that you approved or at least reviewed amendments to the redevelopment plan specific to this project just a few months ago. Those amendments, which did pass by the council, render the project that's before you fully compliant, no variances, and design waiver free. We are excited, however, to present this application. This has been many years in the making, working with your redevelopment agency, your council, and now with you at the municipal level, but also at the county level, where we have full final approval, the state level, where we have our DEP approvals, and as we'll talk about in a minute, with various other properties with which easements were required to be obtained. This application is for a residential development of 23 units, which is the subject to a redevelopment agreement that was approved by the redevelopment agency and compliant with your affordable housing obligations. It is a 23-unit building with ingress and egress coming off of Wanacue and egress only onto Grove Avenue. And that design was at the recommendation of the county planning board, which we were able to accommodate. But being that it was their request, one of the issues was we don't own the property that connects from ours onto Grove. That is a right-of-way owned by the county. So we had to negotiate an easement through the county, which we have done. Obviously, it's not signed yet. It's pending approval by this board, but it will be signed, and as a condition of approval, will have to be. Additionally, we are proposing parking compliant with your redevelopment plan, with 26 parking spaces on site for use by our tenants, as well as an additional off-site 8 spaces to be located at the county property just down the road via a license agreement that we are going to have to negotiate with the county. We've had those discussions. In fact, they are meeting right now at the same time of yours, and we are confident that we have an approval to have those 8 spaces licensed by them off-site. We also have an easement that was negotiated with the neighboring property. Okay, you'll be familiar perhaps. There is the little building right next to us on Grove Street presently. That's lot 2 of this block. Issues had arisen at the redevelopment agency, at the county, and also before the council as to the impact to that property vis-a-vis parking. In discussions with that owner, we've negotiated an access agreement and are going to be building 2 parking spaces for them, which you'll see on the plan. So the plans currently show 28 parking spaces, 26 to be used by our applicant, and 2 to be reserved for use by the neighbor next door via an easement that we've negotiated. So tonight, the plan is to present 2 witnesses. Marvin Blethyn, who's to my right, is the project engineer and who has control of the screen in front of you, and then the project architect will testify as well. So unless there are any questions about the preliminary comments that I've made, I'll ask Mr. Blethyn to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand, state your name, spell your last.
Marvin R. Blethyn, B-L-E-T-H-E-N.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
May proceed.
All right, could you provide the board with the benefit of your experience and education?
45 years of being an engineer. I've testified in front of multiple boards in multiple states, in New Jersey. I've been before Passaic County, several municipalities in Essex County, Cumberland County, Salem County, the RDA here. So I've been doing engineering for 45 years, and I'm currently licensed in New Jersey, is active, expires April 2026.
Thank you. Acceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Mr. Blethyn, can you explain to the board what you were retained to do and the plans that you prepared in connection with this application?
Okay, I was the replacement engineer from the other engineering firm that was here doing these plans. So what we've done is took their plans and rearranged them a little bit to make them compliant with what was going on. We have been before the Passaic County Planning Board. A lot of the information, several review letters and meetings with their engineers, because there's several things that have to be done on the county right-of-way. As far as where the parking areas go, the sidewalks, some of the landscaping, all those, the right-of-way issues, the turning issues, access to Grove Street, access to Wanacue Avenue. So we got through the county process on all of their comments as far as alleviating their concerns of us being in the right-of-way. or close to the right-of-way, parking specifically. The other thing was going to the RDA. We went ahead and submitted the same plans to them that were approved by the county. RDA had some comments that we had to comply with. A lot of those were kind of architectural details, parking details, things like that. And then we got through that, and now we're here finally before you to present the plans for the final application to be able to develop this thing. We had the set of plans that was reviewed by Colliers. What you have in front of you is the plans that was submitted. What is on the board is actually the changes made to those plans within the last week. So we can show you what is going on as far as plans go.
So now that you've identified what it is in front of us, if you can say what the date of this, the revision date of this document is, and then we can mark it as an exhibit.
The revision date on this document is the full one is June 12, 2025.
And this document was prepared to make changes in connection with the June 4th letter from Colliers?
Correct.
Okay, so Mr. Brewer, this will be marked as A1?
And are there hard copies that have been provided to Carm?
There could be, but we...
Yeah, they're gonna have to be.
Yep, of course.
Okay. So that's, what sheet is that?
Okay, this is sheet 4, which is the site plan.
Sheet 4.
Yes, site plan. And if you don't mind, I'd like to go through the comments just real quick from the engineering firm to show what has been changed and what we're talking about as far as, I think they have like 20-some comments. Some of them are architectural, I won't touch on those, but as far as the site plan goes and what they were looking for. Proposed front yard setback, there was a mistake in that. That was a carryover from the previous engineer. They actually measured from the front right-of-way down to the dumpster enclosure instead of to the front of the building. They use that ancillary building as the setback, but the setback truly of the building is the 65.7 foot, and it's shown. So that's been corrected in the zoning table. The easements are obtained, and when we have the easements from Grove Street, those are the county easements. Those are the surveyors taking care of those things. The EV spaces, I've actually swapped the EV spaces over here on the left-hand side to make it compliant because there's an EV bollard plugging charging station here, and there's one on the other side of the parking lot as well. These are regular. My original plan had an 8-foot here and 11-foot opposite it, but in order to have any kind of an EV van or whatever parked, I swapped those spaces to make it more accessible to that. On these EV calculations, it's 15% of the parking has to be EV. We have 4 spaces here. We have the other 8 additional spaces off-site that will have some EV parking as well. But as far as the handicap goes, it's 5% of the EVA spaces, so you're only required to have 1 ADA per 20 EV spaces. So here we actually have 1 EV space within the whole system. It's only 5% of the EVAs. So we have the 1 that's required because we don't have 20 total EV spaces. So that has been corrected to show the van can park there and plug into it. That should satisfy that requirement.
And there are 2 other EV spaces going to be installed in the 8 off-site spaces.
In the off-site park, there's 2 more EV, and they're all level 2 chargers. The front elevations on the details of dumpsters, that has been provided. And one of the things that the questions that was asked was about the actual, what that EV dumpster looks like. I mean, the dumpster looks like.
Is this a revised plan? Okay.
This is on the revised plans, yes.
So what sheet is this?
A2.
This is sheet 12.
And revision date?
6/15.
6/15?
6/15, yes.
That's going to be A2.
And the question was, what are the elevations for the side, top of the walls? This is a standard dumpster enclosure, 6-foot high walls. Around the area, the bottom of the wall is 206, and the top of the wall around it will be 212. And one of the things that was provided was, what does this dumpster look like? So I've added a typical, dumpster that is supposed to be built. It can be built similar to this, but at least this shows what the dumpster looks like with the gates in the front of it, double gates, 2 dumpsters in there. The side parts of these walls will be matching what the architecture of the building will be, so it blends in, so it's just not that stands out there. So it'll be a nice blended look to it. And these are prefab things. You can get these things made, but this is for a double dumpster, a size that is 20 by 10 to hold the 2 standard dumpsters we have planned for. So that was one of the questions that was asked on that. The signage, that's something else at a later date. Some minor details, a lot boundary, the zoning map, the town map should match the boundary provided. Those were changed, even though the tax map is wrong, by the way. But, I went ahead and overlaid those on the title sheet to make sure that the actual survey matches the actual property lines. And you can see in here, tax map doesn't actually match it, but I went ahead and put the correct survey in there. It's just a minor detail.
If that's a change, then you're talking about it, let's make that A3.
Yeah.
Is that a change from what is the current plans?
That is a change, yes.
Okay, that's A3.
Is the cover sheet.
What sheet is it?
Sheet 1.
Sheet 1.
Yep, sheet 1. 6/15.
Thank you.
Now, the limit of disturbance on these plans, the limit of disturbance did not include the original sidewalk on 1Q Avenue. So we've increased that. It was 18,400 square foot of disturbed area. That is increased to 21,300 square foot. So I went ahead and redid the limit of disturbance, which is on sheet 2.
Sheet 2?
So A4 would be revised, sheet 2 revised through 615.
Yes.
Yeah, you might want to adjust your entire set.
Has your sheet been changed?
No, just 5
So it's your preference, Mr. Brewer, do you want to?
I'd rather see the whole set complete, instead of trying to pick out sheets.
So as you know, normally what we would do is we'd come in here and say, we'll
Say you're
do
gonna
this
do
in
it.
resolution compliance, we're happy to satisfy, we wanted to see, because we had some time to show what we were going to say, but ultimately it will be a matter of your engineer signing off on what is in her letter, which we're in agreement with.
There may be additional changes, but let's just, I agree. Sheets, all of them have been presented as, we're going to make this A4 is the remainder, all other of your pack. Just how many of them are there, and what's the revised through date? I guess it's all, any that's been revised, the latest is 6/15?
6/15, correct. Yep, that'll be the latest.
2 through where? 2 through what?
It's going to be sheets 1 through how many?
18.
18, 1 through 18.
6, 15,
Um,
25?
6, 15, 25.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be exhibit 4, the rest.
Yeah.
That'll make it easy. I think some parking changes, a couple things.
Now you can talk about them without having to go
Cool, okay, cool. So anyway, it's in an AE zone on the floodplain. So we have a copy of the DE permit. We've had that since like 2022. And there's been a de minimis change. I already talked to the DEP about this, so I have to do an amendment to that. It deals with like 50 square foot of either a change from impervious to pervious or pervious to impervious. So it's not, everything is within the same boundary, the same footprint, the same everything. As far as the DEP floodplain goes, they're kind of tricky on the pervious impervious thing. So that's a de minimis thing, and the guy at the DEP said just send me an amendment plan and we're good. So that will be done as soon as we get approval here.
Yeah, and that'll be subject to anyway.
Yeah. As far as the stormwater goes, it's not a major development, it's less than an acre. So we don't have to comply with the major stormwater regulations. The stormwater on site There's two inlets in the parking lot, and that's part of one of the comments down here. Those are going to be raised, since we're raising the parking lot a little bit, so they will be reused and raised, which still capture all the water within the parking lot. The water from Grove Street drains through our parking lot, and it actually currently comes into the parking lot and goes out to Wanacue River. What the plan will show will be two new manholes that dogleg out around the existing pipe. We're going to use some of the existing pipe, put two manholes in around, like dogleg around where the building is, and then put it back into the head wall. But right now, there's an easement for the stormwater for Grove Street to go into our parking lot. So that will not change. That easement is still alive and active. But we're using the existing drainage system. We're just modifying it slightly to keep our runoff. The building roof will drain into one of the new manholes that we're putting in. So that will capture all the runoff. And everything else is still the parking lot, impervious and impervious. The plans are in there as far as how much is pervious, how much is impervious before and after. We have those drainage calculations, sheet 17 and 18.
And you're confident that the existing pipe that you're going to use is in good condition?
Yes.
I hate to see, something compromise your surface products.
No, we've had it, because one of the things that the county wanted to know was the water still flowing through there? So we had, somebody go down and pipe the thing to make sure it's clear and runs out, and it still runs out. Okay. So all we're doing is just, taking part of it out where the building is and just doglegging around it and just tying back into it. Same size, same type of pipe that's existing there to drain that. And the only thing we're putting into it is the building structure itself, the roof drains. It'll go to a clean out and go down.
How will you treat the existing pipe to remain? The pipe that you're bypassing, how will you treat that? You're leaving it in the ground or you're taking it out?
That will be abandoned in place.
And it'll be filled with concrete?
Filled with
or-
concrete, correct.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. As a matter of fact, this is the layout right here.
Identify what sheet you're looking at, please.
Sheet 6. And there's no changes on sheet 6. But right now, the existing, these two inlets right now will be raised. We're abandoning what's in place underneath the building right here. And we're putting in 55 foot of RCP, 28 foot of RCP over here to tie into the existing line and then let it drain out. So that will handle that.
And that's an existing head wall at the river?
Yes, existing head wall river, which is actually still on our property. The head wall is, or it is the river.
For the public, I think RCP is reinforced concrete pipe.
Reinforced concrete pipe, correct. Which is what is existing in there right now, up under the parking lot, that drains Grove Street. Now, since we're under the major stormwater, we're not doing that because we're under an acre. Normally, and I've done this in the past, is you have and there's a comment in the letters, you have to do a stormwater management operator's manual to make sure everything is clean. That usually deals with something that is on site, whether it's a detention basin or underground retention or whatever it be, to make sure those things are cleaned out. Here, it's a pass-through pipe, but what I will do on that account will be, since the easement stops at the one inlet in our parking lot, we'll just make sure that part of the process of this is to inspect that inlet and the roof drains to make sure that they are clean, every 6 months or once a year, or whatever it will be, to make sure those are clean. So it won't be a full-blown stormwater operator's manual to where you got to go send somebody down in and clean out basins and underground things like that, storm filters and all these things. Since we're just putting it straight into it, to an existing pipe, we'll just make sure they're clean. That'll be pretty simple on that one. No loading areas proposed. The one comment that we have is on number 15 specifically. Recommended 6-foot sidewalk to be used along in front of the building in case there's a car that goes over 2 foot. Since there's 4-foot proposed sidewalks. and we went through this with the county because the county wanted us to move our parking lot back away from their Wanacue Avenue right away. We are up against the DEP permitted area on the back side of the building, so we can't move the building back. So what we have is the 20-foot stalls with a 24-foot minimum driveway width, and then 20-foot stalls, and then a 4-foot sidewalk. If we go 6 foot, then we don't meet the minimum 24, it'd be a variance to go 22. So the easiest thing to do is what we did with the county, up in the one corner to where we were close to the right-of-way, was put wheel stops back away from the sidewalk to keep the cars from, headbutting over top of the, the sidewalk 2 foot. So that seems to, it appeased the county, because they were trying to do the same thing. They want us to move our parking lot back, and we can't, to meet the minimum of 24 width with 20-foot parking. So the solution would be to put wheel stops, that we proposed, as part of the plan, with the wheel stops on all the parking spaces along the front of the building in front of the sidewalk. And the proposed depressed curbs and aprons and sidewalks and all those things, those are all in the county, and the county's already said that, our plans meet with their, the state county's plans for curbs and depressed curbs and sidewalks. That's according to their specifications. The overhead existing poles, that's okay, all that stuff will be removed. The gas station, I don't think there's anything left at the gas station. I think that's all been dug out and gone, I think. Site illumination. The only thing that is on the plans is what the building facade and the lighting on the front of the building is projecting into the parking lot. It meets the parking lot requirements halfway because it's 1-foot candle within the parking lot area. What we did is actually have an electrician go out and have a meter a couple nights ago. Came out and actually did a foot candle reading, 9:30 at night or something, and then did on that side of the parking lot that's on the Wanacue Avenue, and it exceeded 1-foot candle. So based upon the 1-foot candle, covering half the parking lot and that foot candle covering the other part, then that met the requirements for the whole parking lot with the 2 street lights out front on Wanacue Avenue and our facade lighting on the front. So it meets the 1-foot candle within the parking lot area. So
And this testimony is to provide the board as much knowledge as possible, but obviously it would still be a condition of approval that we prove this out to the engineer during resolution compliance.
Right. But we will make sure, my recommendation to go ahead and just have somebody up there just do a foot candle.
I understand.
So,
Go ahead.
anyway, so that's all taken care of. Existing stormwater inlets, I've already explained those. Stormwater operation and maintenance manual, I've already explained that. And that pretty well covers all the comments that the planning board engineer had.
Okay, what I'll do is ask our engineer to just give everybody us your thoughts on what the applicant is proposing and see what we have, any issues left.
The changes appear to be very minor, and they appear to be conforming, or I should say addressing most of our comments. The one thing I did not see was the permit, and if you sent it to us, I apologize, but I just want to make sure that the permit is, because it's not a major development, I assume that DEP did not review the stormwater portion of it, or did they comment on the stormwater design at all?
They did not comment on stormwater design at all.
Okay.
Because we haven't had that part done yet, but they looked at where the drainage was coming from, and part of their permit was, really what is the impervious existing, and the impervious coming up. So it is in a floodplain, it's a flood hazard permit, and that was really the only thing that we're keen on was the impervious before and after.
Are you increasing the motor vehicle surface?
No.
No.
We're actually decreasing.
Decreasing that as well?
Yeah, because actually it's almost all paved in there right now, and we're actually taking some of the paving out and doing some landscaping on the edges of it.
And is there any deadline? The permits are usually good, I believe, for 5 years?
It's 5 years, yeah. So we're up about 2027. I talked to the administrator about this particular one and told him what we had done, and he said to submit a de minimis revised thing to show the new set of plans, so whatever plans we have approved here, I gotta send it to them, and, that's not what we did.
Can you copy us on the correspondence for
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I'll copy out the emails.
Yep, we'll get it to you.
Yep.
And the comment on the 6-foot sidewalk, Mr. Chairman, too, in design, we typically will do the 4-foot sidewalk, but we will put wheel stops in because of the overhang. So the question was not really for you to analyze whether you need to move a building back and give us the 6-foot, but your answer to the wheel stops was very appropriate.
Yeah.
Some people don't like the wheel stops because it encumbers snow plows and things like that.
Yeah,
So
maintenance of them too.
the maintenance, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why that was kind of brought up, but.
Yeah.
The other thing I
That's really
had,
it.
are you good with that?
That's really it,
Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Malick, I'm not sure I agree with the proposal to use outside lighting as part of your lighting plan. You're relying on an outside fixture furnished by the borough or the county, whoever's paying for that light, and if it goes out, who knows how long it takes to get relit, but it affects your site. So I'd like to just hit on that a little bit, because you're basically taking credit for outside lighting that you have no control over. If anybody took that light out, you'd be minus something in your parking lot. So how would you like to address that?
I understand the concern. I can let Mr. Blethyn answer that from an engineering point of view, and then we can have a discussion.
Well, from an engineering point of view, I look at it this way. Okay, you have existing lighting out there, right? Whether it's on or off, I mean, our sconces could be on or off too, same thing, but we're responsible for that. I look at it and say, okay, sufficient light as is where it is. Once you start putting like more lighting up, then I look at it and say, then you have light pollution, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you have more lights than is necessary for what the purpose is. Trust me, I live across from a school, and the school all of a sudden decided there's street lights out in front of my place. The school decided they wanted to put floodlights on my side of the building, and I have to pull the shades at night because it's just like boom, just blares in there. So I understand that, but to me, they have plenty of light over there. Here we have plenty of light. I worry about the light pollution. If that's okay, if it's not, then we could propose to put a couple poles out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it would take to, you're only putting 1-foot candle out. So, it's not like, if you doubled it, 2-foot candles is not very bright, but I'm just saying, I'm not sure if there's any legal requirement for them but can you use
Well, let me show
public
you.
lighting, let's say?
Let me show you this slide real quick. This is what our electrician went out and did along the street. You look at 2.9, 3.6,
Before you get into the
1.25.
details, let's describe the document so we can mark it.
This is a photometric survey done by Tony Quayle, Quayle Electric, New Jersey licensed electrician, for Mr. Sujan, Thursday, June 12, 2025.
Is that one of the sheets, or is that something new?
This is a new exhibit.
Yep.
Well, we don't have it yet.
Nope, there's a new
Go ahead.
exhibit.
Okay, well, it should have been presented.
It's gonna be A5. A5.
Watch the wire. Just watch the wires.
Thank you.
And what this will show is the foot candle readings out there on that night at 9:30 p.m. It shows what the existing streetlights are putting within our parking lot area at the different points.
So the lighting plan that was provided in the original set, those photometrics are based on the wall packs that you're proposing for the building.
That's correct.
If you were to combine these numbers with what's existing,
Yes,
you would have another set of numbers.
correct. Yes.
Will that be presented to us or
Uh,
submitted?
Well, we think it would need to be, actually.
You're gonna have it combined, right?
But I have to let the electrician give me what those lights are and the heights and all those things so I can actually model it.
Mhm.
I mean, you know how to do that. But I have to have exactly what they are. Heights, locations of them, and then put that in the photogrammetric model.
But to, Mr. Chairman, I think where you're getting at, is I think there is a way for Mr. Bruinart to articulate a condition of approval based on engineering review of what your board engineer has just requested of us to do in resolution plans.
I'm okay with that. I'm just concerned that we know exactly what's going on, and this is telling me a different picture than what we were just told. I mean, he didn't mention this before. All he did was say, there's enough light based
No,
on...
he did testify about the electrician going out and doing these readings.
Yeah, well, we didn't...
Right, but he said there was more than 1 foot candle everywhere. Here I'm looking at .31, .43, .83,
With this added into it.
.34.
This is, yeah.
Yeah, with this added into it.
Can you clarify for the board?
Yeah.
Let's follow it the simple way. We can just put a condition on it. This has to meet the requirements of the engineer. So if you deal with her and she deals with you, and you guys come up to a correct conclusion that it's not overdone, it's not underdone, then I'm fine with that. Can we leave it at that for now, or?
It's agreeable to us.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can model that and put that into the plan.
Mhm.
That's easy. Yep.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
Can you clarify your signages down the road, and when and if there's signage, you'll submit that for review at that time?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Will somebody be presenting on the architecture of the facade tonight?
Yes.
Okay. And could you repeat for clarification the parking, what's EV, what's ADA, and where those spaces are located?
Yeah. What we have is, based upon the number of buildings, number of units, is the, okay, the one bedroom, there's 18 of those, the two bedrooms, there's 2, so we have to have a total of 28 required parking spaces. So we have 28. 2 of those are dedicated to Lot 2 with an agreement, because we're taking up some of their area where they need to park. So we're dedicating 2 of those spaces, which leaves 26. Off-site, we have 8 additional spaces
In addition to the 26?
in addition to the 26.
Uh-huh.
So the EV calculation comes up to 5. If you look at 15% of the 28 that's on-site, or 15 of the 26, you're still coming to the same number. You're still coming up at 5. You're always rounding it.
Are you suggesting that you don't need to provide EV for the 8?
No, so the eight are part of the county's project. It's a much larger parking lot. Those 8 spaces are part of the project. We're doing a license for a period of time.
Okay.
So they're gonna have to install EV spaces based on those 8.
Okay. So you have on-site 28 spaces, 5 of which are EV,
4 EVs.
4 of which are EV?
4 EVs on-site.
And how many ADA spaces?
2. On the EV, 1.
So 3?
You have
1 EV ADA and 2 regular ADA?
3 regular. 3 regular EV, 1 ADA EV.
How many
That's
regular ADA spaces do you have?
Not EV.
2 on-site.
Okay,
But one of those is EV.
but that one doesn't count towards ADA.
Correct.
So you have 1 regular ADA space
Right.
of the 26 on-site parking
Of the
spaces.
26 for our building, we have 2 more that are dedicated to Lot 2, but 26 are for our part of it. And then 8 off-site.
Okay. I'm just trying to make this as clear as possible. On-site, you have 26 parking spaces.
Correct.
4 of them are EV spaces.
Correct.
1 of them is a regular ADA space.
Correct.
Okay, and that meets the ADA requirement?
Yes,
Okay,
because you need 5% of the existing EV, which means you need
well,
1
the
ADA per 20 EVs. It's 5% of the
but
available
the
EVs.
EV ADA space is separate from the ADA space.
Yes, there's an ADA space and then there's an EV ADA.
Right, but the regular ADA space, you can't use the EV ADA to count towards your ADA
Which is why there's 2.
requirement.
Right, which is what I understood.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Mr. Malinik, you made a comment just now about you have this easement with Passaic County for a time, defined for a time.
Oh, I think it's not negotiated, it's not signed because we haven't gotten this approval, but the negotiations that have been happening are 99 years or 100 years.
Okay, I mean, I would expect that it would not be something that would expire in the reasonable life of the building.
No, not at all, and I'd be very comfortable if you wanted to put a minimum duration in as a condition of approval, because that's our plan.
Okay, I'd like to just make a note of that somewhere, whether you want to do a condition or not, that it's got to be for a requirement.
I got a star, which means that's a condition.
Okay.
I said it's got to be 99 years or more, and that would be, 99 years is viewed as property ownership in New Jersey.
I won't be checking it, by the way.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Follow up on that. So the 8 that are being requested from the county, are they going to be designated?
So they're going to be designated specific spots,
Okay.
but they're going to be reserved time. So it's going to be operating on like a shared parking analysis, if this board has ever reviewed something like that, where their users are users during the day. Our users are users typically at night, weekends, non-business days. So they're operating in a shared model that they're exclusively reserved for our tenants only from the hours of, I think it's 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. during the week and 24 hours on non-business days.
Okay. Because the last time I remember the county plan, the EV parking was going to be off of Ringwood Ave in the front.
Where they put their EV is obviously up to them. But what the deal that we are negotiating with them is obviously to put 2 EV spaces in those 8. In addition, we've negotiated with them as part of the financial structure that we may compensate or contribute towards their EV costs on their site.
Got it. But if all the EVs are together on the county, it will be by the Ringwood Ave entrance.
If that's what they're planning on, yeah.
Right. So roughly, how far do you think that would be from your site?
The spaces that we're proposing are the closest in the parking lot to our particular site, just down the road. As far as distance, I don't know.
No, but those spaces won't be EVs.
2 of them will be. 2 of the 8.
Good. Because Mr. Keaton was just saying that the EV at the county level is going to be by Ringwood Ave, and you just said, yes, if that's where they decide to put it.
So their parking lot is much larger than our 8.
Mhm.
So they have an obligation to install much more than two chargers. Our deal with them is specific to what's going to happen in these 8 spaces, 2 of which are going to be EVs for us, and of course their users can use them during the day as well.
Okay.
Where they put the balance of their chargers is irrespective of our 8 spaces.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Blethyn?
Yes. In regards to, before you guys started talking about the survey and your property, but then the neighbor's property, I got confused when you said about some of that is county in front of their property, but it's not marked on that.
So this is, I can give a little history here. This was rather confusing for a long time here. There is a piece of property, Marvin could probably point to it, right in front of that building, which is neither on our lot or their lot, and it's not deeded to the county. It is part of the county right-of-way. In speaking with the county engineer, as part of the planning board process, his suspicion of what happened is years ago, this road extended to that area and was modified when they installed the bridge in this whole area, and it just probably wasn't papered the way it should. So out of an abundance of caution, we are taking an easement for whatever interest the county has in that property, which is right in front of that building. So if you look at the property or drive past it now, where that building right there in Lot 2 is parking is actually in the county right-of-way that the county has allowed.
Got it. All right, so then the 2 dedicated parking spots that you're offering to them is where? On the,
Okay, so the one right there.
one here on the corner.
Is right there. That is partially on the county property and partially on our property. So we're both county and our property are giving easements to that lot to use that. And the second little space is right here, right in front of the building, which is in the county space, and again, part of our access agreement with the county.
Got it.
So can I add some information? Just what John's asking, I called for a meeting with the county when the owners of the property reached out to me. And I said, is there something we can do working out with the county, with the developer, with the town, to make them, even though they don't have any dedicated parking that came with that building. They've been there a long time, they've been residents of the town a long time. So is there any way we could work out an arrangement with all the groups? We all sat down and discussed it. And I gotta say, all the groups, including the county, were helpful in making that happen. This was no requirement of anybody to make that happen. This was added on as an extra after the fact, to get them the 2 spots, which, by the way, the owners of that property had asked for. That's what the number they asked for.
Okay.
So that's what we got.
And thank you, Mayor Sarah, for setting that up. And to the mayor's point, I'm sure you can appreciate the fact that they didn't have parking shouldn't be really a factor of our application. I'm sure a lot of you know our applicant, he wanted to do whatever he could to satisfy them, and that's what the result was, which was a very good result for everybody.
Okay, and again, that commercials, there's 2 stores there, they were satisfied with the
They
2.
were, yes, they were the owners of the property.
Tenants.
Those are tenants.
Right. Okay, because again, just the common business that's there, there's drive up to pick up, service.
Figure that out.
And then you're gonna have somebody getting a haircut, you'd have one person at a time. Okay.
Anyone else on the board have any questions?
Yes, separate topic. You mentioned about gas station permits and so forth. Anything in regards to the soil itself, soil testing, since it was mentioned it was a gas station?
I don't think we have any environmental concerns, or I haven't seen any phase 1
There's no
that was submitted.
requirement to have testing?
Well, there's, for phase 1 environmental, it's not a checklist item to provide environmental phase 1.
Prior gas station.
It'll obviously have to be closed out in accordance with DEP standards.
So those tanks are still on the ground?
I can't answer that.
The resolution is always subject to all state, local, county regulations and laws. So that's a catch-all. If there is a requirement to satisfy the DEP, do anything, and they're not in compliance, they would then not be in compliance with the site plan.
And as you all know from living here, that gas station has been abandoned for many, many, many years.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But also typically the details of what the DEP requires of a gas station is not typically part of the site plan approval process. If they knew it, they could talk about it, but they have to be in compliance or they'll not be in compliance with, if you choose to approve this.
Okay, thanks.
If there are no other questions for the engineer, we can bring up the architect.
And then we'll have a public session at the end.
They should be shut down properly so long ago. You might not have to meet any certain regulations in order to shut it down. Tanks are keepers slash fire. I'm sure they are. Anything else?
I don't think you have a touch
This was a use out of the county. They have to use that if it's sitting there for 20 years. How long it's been there?
So Carmelina, we're going to use this computer for this one. Do you have to log in?
Is it already on?
Right, no, you got a can of worms. You have one here?
Time goes by so damn fast.
Since 30 years, so they're wow.
Just.
Sometimes you wish it's on
There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Seated to my right is the project architect, Jeff Rotting. I'll ask him to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, state your name, spell your last. Do
Frank Jeff Rotting, R-A-W-D-I-N-G.
you swear or, please keep your hand up. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Roding, can you give the board the benefit of your education and experience, please?
Certainly. I'm a graduate of Ohio State University, 1979. I've been a licensed architect since 1984. I'm licensed in this and 9 other states. I own a firm in Morristown called F.J. Roding, AIA. I've testified before numerous boards throughout the state as an expert architect. I don't believe I've been in front of this board though, but I have been qualified as such, and my license is.
Acceptable, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Roding, can you explain what you did in connection to this application and the architectural plans that are, and renderings that were submitted?
Certainly. We've been engaged on this project for a number of years, and we were asked to design different concepts. Ultimately, the one before you is a 4-story building proposed with 23 units. We have set this units back behind the parking space, parking lot that the engineer described. And if you'd like, I'll go to the design of the building itself.
And everything that's on the screen is part of the application package?
Yes. I'm 100% positive that it was filed. This is going back, this is A1. This is the front elevation of the building. It's a rendered front elevation of the building. As I said, the building is 4 stories. It's composed of a brick and a composite material on the bays. You'll see 2 distinct raised bay windows left and right, and a center tower. There's an entry in the center of the front elevation, along with a cantilever canopy over the top of the entrance, and it fronts on Montague. So Montague, for your purposes, Montague is on the lower left-hand side of this room. The white cube represents the existing building that you were just discussing relative to the 2 parking spaces. As we move around the building, this is another perspective, as if you're looking past the dumpster enclosure to the side of the building. You'll see, again, the 4-story aspect of it. The brick veneer carries slightly around the returns on the side. You'll see that in a minute. And then we go to a underflank siding on the rear and side of the building. This is from the back left corner of the site. Looking back, this is the drop-off you see down to the river on the right-hand side. This is the rear right corner of the building. You'll see bay projections on this side of the building as well. So we've carried that bay component around the edge of the building. This, again, is like looking from the rear of the building. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 bay components on the back side of the building, and again, the 4 stories. The bays are made out of a composite material, like a AZAC type material, and the cementitious siding is in between. And then we have a cornice up at the top of the building that's composed, that's also synthetic, or composite, I should say. The peak-most roof up at the top is going to be asphalt shingles. This rendering is just a little streetscape rendering, some of the landscaping along the front of the building, and some landscaping in front of the parking as well. This is a little more photorealistic with the telephone poles and the street lights as superimposed. So that's more of a photo type aspect rendering. As I said, the building is 4 floors. They have 5 units on the first floor. There's a total of 23 units, 5 of which are 2-bedroom. They range in size from 977 square feet to 996 square feet. 15 of them are 1-bedroom. They range from 645 square feet to 692 square feet. And then we have 3 studios. 3 studios are on the upper levels. I'll show you that in a second. This is the first floor, with the entry being at the top of the building. You come in through a vestibule. There's an elevator to your right as you come in, and then a staircase up as well. And you're in a lobby area where we'll provide mail drop-off and the like for the tenants. The 2 blue colored apartments are the 2-bedroom apartments fronting on the front of the building on the first floor, and the beige buildings on the back are the one-bedroom apartments for a total of 5 on this space. You'll see the lighter pinkish corridor takes you from one stair to the other. There's a secondary exit on the left-hand side of on the planned left side of the building that gives you the required second means of egress. There's some mechanical space shown here in green as well. And this is the first floor, and there's 5 units on this floor. Now, if you move up to the second floor, you come off the elevator, the staircase again, there's a lobby here, and then there's the blue, again, is the 2-bedroom unit, the beige are the 1-bedroom units, the 3 beige units on the backside, and 1 on the front, and the bluish purple unit is the studio. And each one of these, and again, the 2 staircases, each one of these 2 through 4 are the same floor plan. Essentially, they have studios on each floor, and then just a composite of the roof here showing we're concealing the mechanical equipment from view behind the tower here. Again, we can go through the materials, but essentially it's 2 bay-like units on the front of the building, and then the unit windows on the first floor beneath it, and then the canopy in the front entrance here. There's a little bit of an arch detail in the center. 3 distinct elements of the building. The entry tower is slightly set back from the front facade. Excuse me. And again, this will just carry around the building in plan form as opposed to rendering form. But it's virtually the same as what you saw before, so you can see it here on the back side of the building as well. And the overall building height is 48 feet to the cornice. And then we have the little appendage over the tower that gets a little higher. That is pretty much my direct testimony. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
This design was the product of multiple meetings with the redevelopment agency and comments that were received and accepted and modified until it was approved to the redevelopment agreement. Is that correct?
A number of times, yes.
Yes, number of times. No further questions.
Thank you. Just again, the members, the board, that this was pre-approved in its appearance and setbacks and all parking with the redevelopment agency. So we really don't have any, per se, discussion on the insides of the buildings or the number of units. We have site issues that we can discuss, but that's primarily the main scope here. So does anyone have any questions for the architect?
Mr. Chairman?
John?
All right, so sprinkler or standpipe system?
Sprinkler.
Sprinkler, standpipe?
Standpipe as well. No, I'm sorry, we don't need a standpipe. I think we're required to have it once we're over 5 stories.
Okay, so 4th floor compartment, fire department access, no standpipe in the stairwell?
I'm sorry, we have the ability to put standpipes in the stairwell. I thought you could access it in the elevator though too, right?
Yeah, I'm told fire suppression, so hose.
Yeah. We can provide standpipe. That's required.
I don't think that would be.
And then where would the FDC be?
That's
Well,
question
that,
number 2.
we can easily put that on the right side of the building, next to the mechanical room. Mechanical room's here, sprinkler room.
Okay.
So something could happen, right anywhere on that side of the building would be
What's going to be provided?
standpipe and a
Fire department.
Fire,
Sure.
FDC.
90s. Yeah. The stair tower too could accommodate it.
Because I know on that side, where you just highlighted where that exit is, it's only about 7 feet from, I think, the property line, right?
It is, but it's got a full width sidewalk running down there.
Full width. Okay. Because that's going to be your exit discharge as well, right? So you're going to be exiting and then.
Yes, so
it's wide.
so they'd exit right here and they go to the front of the property here.
Okay. So because obviously the preferred FDC would be on the front side of the building if possible.
That could be done too. It would have to be to the left of the entrance, the right of the entrance as you're looking at it from the front though.
but that could be.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, that could be a spot. Would the applicant have a problem with the Knox box also?
No.
Okay. Vehicle entrance. Now, I know right now there's 2 access points existing. So the proposed, with the one driveway coming in, so for the engine to come in, what would be the preferred way for the fire truck to enter? Because I noticed there's an island, so in order.
I would think that the entrance on what would be closest to downtown would be a little bit more accessible than the one down on the other end, but from a planning standpoint, I think it's easier access past the dumpster there.
Okay.
And the fire department did raise no issue with the design.
Okay, except for item number 1. So attached was the turning radius of the apparatus, and I didn't get a response. Was there one? I'm not sure.
Fire department. I'm sorry, no, so my response is we're accepting it, and we'll provide everything we need to satisfy the fire department and the resolution plan.
Okay, good, all right, because I think that island there might be
If
pretty.
it needs to be, a mountable island, we can talk about doing that.
Okay. Now, again, my concern was the 7 feet that is in between the building. So is there any reason why that building just can't be shifted to give a proper, like, say, 10 feet from the property line, rather than just 7 feet?
We can bring up Mr. Blethen back again. I'm not sure if that's related to the DEP envelope as well, but we can have that answered.
Yeah, I'd have to defer that one.
Okay. Do you have any plans for a generator in the building?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Just a very quick qualification. What exactly is, I know that this went through the redevelopment agency and all of that. I'm just wondering what would be, forgive my inexperience, within the scope for this project for us to discuss.
Well, the redevelopment agency is the one that's responsible to get the project approved. And because this is in the redevelopment zone, their approval basically fixes the site to what was approved there, which limits, and this is by regulation, which limits the planning board to, instead of talking about whether they like the building that goes like this or like this, we're fixed to things that affect the site issues. So if there was an entry problem, if there was a site problem, if there was, somebody said, I don't like the landscaping, you can play with that. Parking, certainly, we went over that at length. But the site development is really done here, but the rest of it's done at the redevelopment agency. So that's why we don't get a chance to say, oh, well, I don't like, 5 units in a floor, on 4.
Understood.
That's not in our control.
Yeah, and
You can ask about anything on the plans that are being presented. The board's ability to deny this is limited, as the chair said, but it is your purview to ask anything you want to understand, so you have a full understanding of what's being presented. But that's where it's kind of limited. They have, as he explained, a conforming application. You can do this as of right, but all board members have the right to ask, so you have a full understanding of what you're voting for. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, that answers my question. I will say it's very well put together project plans. I read them through thoroughly. I enjoy the aesthetic of the building and the way that fits into the town. However, that again may not be our decision-making authority, and I don't.
Well, we get to approve it
Yes.
or not, depending on the presentation, and you're free to make a comment at that time, what you do and don't like. But as the mayor, as the attorney and I said, we're limited. All right, at this point in time, I'm going to open this meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
I always ask on all the projects, we always forget, is there going to be a pet area, even if it's small enough to take out? Is this a pet building, first of all?
I don't think that's been determined yet, but I do know that we have a little bit of a fenced-in area to the rear of the property that could accommodate.
Right, somewhere where they can take the pets out.
Weren't you offering your property for that?
Sure.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to open up the meeting to the public. If there are any questions for this gentleman or the previous gentleman on this project, please let me know. Seeing none, I will close the public session. Board members have any other comments before we go to a motion? Seeing none, I'll look for...
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Sorry, I was waiting for the other side to finish.
You only get a chance on one side, John, I want here. Yes, sir.
All right, so I guess before we vote, one of the things I am uncomfortable about is the parking spots, the 8 parking spots, because I know that the EV is going to be a pretty far distance, so I'm not sure what the county is going to be offering you. I probably would have liked the traditional Wanakee setting where there was a commercial on the first floor and residential up top. I think also I guess when we made the recommendation back to the mayor and council, we did say, and had a recommendation, no one-room suites. And again, there is one-room suites. So again, I think, in my opinion, I think there could have been a better building suited for that spot. And I'm kind of not agreeing with what's being proposed. So I just wanted to share my opinion.
Okay.
Before we go.
Any other comments? Do the engineer and planner have anything? Okay. I'll look for a motion. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, you make a motion to approve the project.
Is he voting tonight?
Is he voting tonight as a...
No, we have enough, so.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Okay, do I have a motion from one of the board members?
Maybe I'll make the motion.
Okay. You can make the motion?
Motion to accept?
He's okay for that, right?
He's not today.
Yeah, there's alternate.
Yeah, because we're missing one anyway, so.
Okay. Also alternate, one can.
If he tried, I was going.
He's okay for making the motion?
Yes, alternate one from this one, yes.
Okay, sure.
Motion to accept?
Okay, to approve this project as presented?
Yes.
And then we'll subject to
The conditions.
any conditions that has been brought up during the presentation and that the attorney has recorded?
Yes, please.
Okay, and a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Otto. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Simone?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Mr. Trost?
Yes.
Mr. Bowlby?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
No.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Councilman Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. Bootsma?
Yes.
And did I miss
No.
No, we're good to go on that. Thank you for the
Thank you, Mr.
presentation,
Chairman.
gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody.
Project.
I think we're all very excited to move
Mr.
forward.
White, you have promised this would be 15 minutes, correct?
Yes. You should know better by now. We don't do anything in 15 minutes.
Although I have to say that was the fastest presentation of a fair share and housing plan that I've seen thus far.
Well,
So we were feeling good about the 15.
yes, we were. It was presented well, and it was, in preparation, they had previous discussions on it, so.
Yeah.
But this one's been through a lot of issues as well, so move on, hopefully everything goes okay.
We're looking forward to it. Andy will be in touch.
Good evening.
That's what we're just looking for.
I'll get over that. Everything will be forwarded to me. What Kyle was asking about. And now what do you want to do with the old those plans now? Destroy them? I just wanted to get you to put what's up. Okay.
Okay, the next application is PB 25-01, Sarah Realty LLC, 714 to 720, Hamburg Turnpike, Pompton Lakes, Block 9001, Lot 11, Zone GWD, which is Gateway District. And welcome, and who are we going to be talking to tonight?
That would be me.
Okay.
So good evening, members of the planning board. My name is Justine Novecchio, and I am an attorney with Greenbaum, Rowe, Smith & Davis. Tonight, I'm representing Sarah Realty with regards to an application for preliminary and final site plan approval with bulk variances for construction of a 3-story mixed-use building located at 714 to 720 Hamburg Turnpike in Pompton Lakes. It's also known as Block 9001, Lot 11 on the borough's tax maps. The property is currently improved with a single-story commercial building and the applicant is seeking to construct an additional 2 stories that will contain 10 residential units. The project will also contain approximately 5,612 square feet of commercial retail space and 45 physical parking spaces. Tonight you will hear first from the engineer, Adnan Khan, regarding the engineering plans he prepared. You will then hear from the architect, Yogesh Mistry, regarding the architectural plans he prepared. And finally, you will hear from the applicant's planner, Paul Ritchie, regarding the justification for the variances proposed.
And could you spell your last name? I didn't catch it.
Sure. It's D-E-L-V-E-C-C-H-I-O.
B-E-C-C?
V is in Victor,
Oh, V.
E-C-C-H-I-O. It's a tough one.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I will move to my first witness. Can you please describe your qualifications?
Actually, let me swear him in first.
Go ahead.
Please, because you got your hand up, state your name, spell your last.
Adnan Khan, K-H-A-N.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you please elaborate on your licenses and qualifications as a professional engineer?
Sure. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, master's degree in construction management from NJIT. I have appeared in front of federal court, superior court, hundreds of boards throughout New Jersey as an expert witness. I'm a professional engineer in multiple states, including New Jersey. My licenses are current, and I've been doing it for close to 35 years
Thank you, that's
now.
acceptable.
Thank you.
Okay, so you were retained to draft the engineering plans for this project, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, can you please describe the existing site conditions and the plans that you were retained to prepare?
Sure. First of all, these plans are the exact same plans that were submitted to the board. And I believe, let's see, the date on these plans are April 21st, 2025. The site is retail site. Currently, it's a retail establishment, 1-story building. It's located on Hamburg Turnpike, and the nearest cross street or at the intersection of Hamburg Turnpike and Tequanic Avenue. Currently, there are 4 retail stores that occupies the existing building. Actually, I'm looking at sheet C-02, which shows the existing conditions. So the existing 1-story building with 4 retail stores. There is a parking in front of the retail stores facing right on Hamburg Turnpike. Approximately 9 parking spaces are present in the front, and then we have about 13 spaces, marked spaces, along the northern property line of the lot. Again, the lot is an L-shaped lot, as you can see on your screens, or on the screen. So Pequannock Avenue is to the plan right, Hamburg Turnpike is to the plan bottom, and so that's the site. As far as the access to the site, current access, there is a curb cut on Pequannock Avenue that serves the retail store building. And also we have a curb cut or access from Hamburg Turnpike that also serves the retail stores. The proposal for the, should I go to the proposed? Okay. So the proposal for the site is the existing structure will remain, and the applicant is proposing to add 2 more stories to the existing building and construct a residential component to this use and make it a mixed use for the property. So the retail will be on the ground floor or the first floor, and second and third floor will have 10 apartment units. Now, our architect will go in detail about the layout and elevations. So that is the proposal. Also, as part of the proposal, we are proposing a lot of site improvements on the property. We are keeping the driveway on Pequannock. We are keeping the driveway on Hamburg Turnpike. We are relocating, slightly modifying, making it more per standard. Currently, the driveways are either too big or too little, so we are making it based on the vehicle circulation that we anticipate, the sizes of the driveway. The driveway on Pequannock Avenue will be one-way in, only to the property, and driveway on Hamburg Turnpike will be a full access two-way in and out, ingress and egress driveway. We are also repaving and restriping the parking area, providing parking spaces, 45 parking spaces that are proposed for this project. And I will quickly go over my parking calculations after I finish the site layout. So there will be 45 parking spaces that we are proposing. 2 handicap spaces are also proposed. These handicap spaces are van accessible, both of them. So it's an 8-foot aisle for parking, 8-foot van accessible aisle, and then the second handicap spaces. So both of these parking spaces are van accessible as required. Actually, one is required, but we are proposing both. The addition to the existing building will be the stairs leading to the second floor and the third floor apartments. We are proposing a small addition to the right of the existing structure and 1 staircase addition on to the rear of the property. And again, the architect will go on how it's going to be worked out with the floor, with the floor layout of each apartment. But so this is an addition right here and an addition in the back. As I said, the existing building is going to remain as is. We have a trash enclosure, a pretty big trash enclosure. It's about, I think, 10 by 20, 18 by 20 trash enclosure, which can easily accommodate the trash generated both from the residential use as well as retail, including solid waste and recyclables. We are seeking some waivers and variances, and I'm going to touch base, and then we have a planner who's going to go in detail for the justification. There are 2 shade trees proposed along Hamburg Turnpike, and 1 shade tree is proposed on Pequannock Avenue. We are also proposing some landscaping to screen, landscaping with the shrubs to screen the parking lot, that L-shaped element from Hamburg Turnpike. Also, as per the ordinance requirement, there are certain requirements to break the parking lot with certain green spaces. Like if you have more than 10 spaces, it has to be broken. So what we are trying to do is trying to add that element wherever we can. We are providing some green islands in between the parking. Again, we don't comply with the requirement, we still require a variance for that, but we are trying to accommodate by providing 1 green island along the right side of the building and 1 to the rear.
And just a clarifying question, can you discuss the shade trees in the rear of the parking area, how many we're proposing?
The rear of the parking, we are proposing one shade tree in that green island at the parking.
And how many are required of the other?
I believe it's, for the shade trees, I think we are required every 40 feet. But again, because of our limitation of the existing parking in the front of the retail, which is currently being used, we're not proposing any in that area because that is an access for the cars coming in and out to the retail stores. That is an existing non-conforming. Quickly go over our zoning table, which is on sheet CO1. As far as the bulk requirements, we are seeking 1 variance, everything else is conforming. The lot area, lot width, the building height, side yards, rear yards, they are conforming. The 1 lot impervious coverage we are seeking is the lot coverage. 50% is required in a gateway district. The existing site is 89.20. A little shy of 90% impervious. We are proposing an increase of slightly less than 5%, which is 93.8. So that is one of the variants that we are seeking. The other is the parking. I'll quickly go over the requirements. The retail component, which is approximately 5,611 square feet, based on the borough's ordinance, 28 spaces are required. We are proposing 25 spaces to serve the retail. So that's short of 3 parking spaces, which is a non-conformity. For residential units, 10 units, 2 spaces for each unit is required. 20 spaces are required. We are proposing 20 spaces. So if you do the math, adding the retail and residential component, 48 spaces are required, and we are proposing 45 spaces. However, since this proposal for this proposed project is more than 5 residential units, it qualifies for the EV. We are required to provide EV charging stations, and we are required to take credit of 10% of that. So if you do our math, we are required to provide three EV spaces, EV charge spaces, and we can take credit up to 2 cars. So if you rearrange the math, 48 spaces, as I mentioned, required, so that will go down to 46 spaces. We are providing 45 spaces. So we are short of 1 parking space for the combined use after taking the credit for EV. Okay. The next slide I'm going to, or the next sheet is the C-04, which shows the grading and drainage. Currently, there is no on-site drainage system on the property. So everything from the existing pervious and impervious areas, the sheet flows. Some of it is based on the existing grading. Some of it flows towards Hamburg Turnpike. Some of it flows towards the back of the property to the south. What we are proposing is based on the boroughs. Again, this project is not qualified as a major development for DEP, so we don't have to follow the major development stormwater management rules. However, we are proposing stormwater management by providing dry wells on the property based on the borough's requirements. And the idea there is that all the water that will flow down from the, let's say, middle half of the property to the right and to the back will be contained in those dry wells. We have some pipe, some inlets and the pipe connecting to the dry wells. So the idea here is to collect all this existing undetained runoff into the dry well systems, the 2 systems that we are proposing. The grading is, the proposed grading will match as close as possible to existing, so there will be not a significant change in the grading or the overall drainage pattern change for the project. As part of the grading, we are proposing a retaining wall, and I know there are some questions which, in the Collier's report which I'm going to address. The retaining wall runs along the western property line or to the plan north, turns around to that to the side, and then goes to again to the property line to that area which is close to the Pequannock. The wall is, I would say, the maximum height is 3.5 feet or less. So it's not one of the structural retaining wall. It will be more designed as a gravity retaining wall. So, and I believe there was a question in the engineer's report is that how the geogrid will be fixed. Again, we are planning, the design is not finalized yet, and again, we will work on the retaining wall design if this application gets the approval, but it will be designed as a gravity wall which doesn't need any geogrid. That will extend to the neighboring properties because it's less than 3 feet. And again, it tapers down, up and down as it goes. Site lighting. We are proposing all new lighting on the site. It's a combination of light poles and wall pans along the property. The light fixtures that we selected are all LED type light fixtures, full cutoff, downward throw to avoid any glow and glare to adjacent properties. We have, based on the comments we received on the first round of plans that were submitted, and we received the report from Collier's. So the plans that you see now are the result of, I would say, quite a few of those comments already being addressed. So the comments about the lighting, as far as providing the average lighting, we showed all those numbers and we complied with those comments. Traffic circulation. We are proposing, actually we are showing 2 vehicle circulation. One is for the garbage truck circulation that can access the trash enclosure. It can access from either side, whether it's coming from Pequannock or from Hamburg Turnpike. They can pull up to the trash enclosure. It will be a rear end loading, unloading. They will load and then they can turn around and leave. Of course, Pequannock is one way in, so they can leave through Hamburg Turnpike. The same situation is for passenger cars. We are showing the parking. Again, there is a concern and there is a waiver or a variance we are seeking is the aisleway. And again, that aisle width for a 90-degree parking is required is 24 feet. For most of the areas, we are proposing 24 feet. However, in certain areas, we have less than 24 feet. And one of the area is to the right of the existing building. Because of this proposed addition, we have 20.17. So we made sure that the circulation, by showing the circulation, that even though it's less than 24 feet, cars can come in and out of the parking spaces, and then they can maneuver either way, going or coming out of the parking spaces they utilize in those areas. So overall, based on my professional opinion, this traffic circulation works with access to the vehicles that we anticipate as far as coming in and out of the property. One other comment is about loading, unloading. There is no designated loading, unloading provided on the property. However, what we discussed amongst our project team is that we have an area next to the parking spaces in front of the store that we are hatching for what is called proper circulation of the cars in and out. Right now, there is no such hatching, so it's more like to delineate the car traffic flow, the passenger traffic flow, or any traffic flow to come in and out, follow the lanes coming out of the parking. So we have this hash area that we are basically reserving as for the vehicles that are traveling for the parking areas, not to come in, not to occupy them. But temporarily, this area can be used as loading, unloading, both for the residential or move-in and move-outs. Again, we don't anticipate, it's only 10 stores, we don't anticipate move-ins and move-outs very frequently. There will be a yearly lease or a 2-year lease or whatever, so it might happen very infrequently. But again, I think this space can be utilized as move-in, move-out, or any deliveries to the retail stores, for that matter. Okay. Let's see. I will just quickly over some of the waivers, design waivers and variances that we are seeking, and of course our planner is going to go in detail. I will just touch base on them. As I mentioned, lot coverage, we are asking for lot coverage variance. As I mentioned, 50% is allowed. We are a little less than 90% existing. We are asking for 93.8, so slightly over than existing. We are proposing car parking in the front yard, which is not allowed as per the ordinance. Parking at 0 feet side yard, 1 feet from the rear yard. Again, there is a 10-foot requirement. I believe it's 10 foot, but we are not complying with that, so we are seeking for that. Number of parking spaces, 48/46 spaces are required. After the EV credit, we are proposing 45, so technically we are 1 short of the requirement. Trash enclosure is 1 feet from the side property line and 10 feet from the rear yard. However, it should be 17.5 feet because it's considered as an accessory structure in the borough ordinance. But we think like the location of the trash enclosure is tucked in the back where we have a natural landscaping buffer between our property and the property in the back. There is fully mature trees buffer that currently exist, so that will screen the trash enclosure. Freestanding sign, right now, I mean, this is just a concept of a sign that applicant would like. It's not finalized yet. We are trying to, of course, it will be done more tastefully based on approval from the board. But again, this is just an idea, like 10-foot height is required. The applicant is proposing 12 feet. And the reason for that is that because we have 4 businesses, we want their names to be displayed. Again, if the board wishes or if the board desires, like this can be, the height can be reduced to 10 feet to comply with the height. The square footage of the sign, 15 square feet is required. We are proposing 32 square feet, which is again little, which is more, but the idea here is this is a 4-store retail. So we want to have proper coverage for all the retail stores. The other comment is the location of the sign where it sits on the property. 10 foot is required from the property line in the front yard. Just quickly. And we are proposing the sign, the freestanding sign to be located 2.75 feet from the property line. But there is additional, I would say, 8 to 10 feet from the curb. So, however, the reason for this is because the visibility of the sign. We want this sign, or the applicant wants the sign to be visible for any patrons that want to utilize these stores. So pushing it 10 feet back, first of all, it will impede the driveway access and parking area. And plus it will push the visibility of the sign a little bit more further back than it should be, and as I would say, practical to have it for the cars traveling on Hamburg Turnpike or Pequannock to visibly see them. So those are some of the variances we are seeking, and I believe I covered everything. We can go over the report if you want.
And just a clarifying question, the last design waiver listed in your table, can you just speak to that just a little bit to clarify?
Yes, I can have to go back. Okay, the interior of all parking shall be landscaped, and again, as I mentioned, the landscape island. So again, that's a waiver that we are seeking. It's a design waiver we are seeking for that, because again, in order to comply with getting close to the parking requirements, we are proposing green islands wherever we can to break that impact of complete landscape parking and drive aisle. But again, that's a waiver that we are seeking. Okay. Now we can address the engineering report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, would you like us to go through each of the comments in the engineering report?
Yeah,
That'd be the
I
easiest
think
way?
that'd be the first thing to do, because there was a lengthy letter.
Before that, I just want to explain, like, as I mentioned, like, again, these plans were originally submitted. We got the first round of comments from Colliers. We revised, and again, as you can see in the latest report, not most, but quite a few of those items are satisfied, because we try to address as many comments then, but there are some open comments that I can either testify and go over them, item by item, and
Okay, how would you like to see him handle that? Do you want to go over stuff, or do you want him to give you responses, or?
I had a few questions which were based on some of the comments that were not addressed. So
Go right ahead.
instead of keeping everybody here to go through each individual one, I can just ask them if that's
That's fine.
okay with you, Mr. Chairman. Just number one, I wanted to ask about the relationship of the site to the 100-year floodplain, and if any DEP regulations are pertaining to this particular site.
The site is, it's not under the DEP flood hazard area mapping or requirements. The site is located in Zone X with minimal chances of flood. We did look at the FEMA mapping, and the elevation, the flood hazard elevation in the area, which is delineated by these different colors, and you can see is around 190 to 192 in the area where our property lies, but our property is clearly out of the floodplain. In addition, if we can compare this elevation 192 to 190, that is the maximum flood hazard area elevation, our site is much higher. Our grades are in the range, the lowest grade is 206. So we are well above flood hazard elevation requirement.
Very good. Just wanted to get that on the record because I didn't know the finished floor. I did not have that information. Just a question, actually not related to the letter. You mentioned hatching before, hatching certain areas. You're going to stripe those.
That is correct.
Okay. Is it going to be white striping, yellow striping? It's not indicated on the plan. It's shown hatched, but
we can do either. We can do yellow or white, whatever the board wishes.
I'll leave it to the board. I would say white. The white is typical.
I would, on that though, I would add that, I mean, you provided testimony that it would be infrequent use of move in, move out, but I can tell you that there will be multiple deliveries a day when we're thinking about Amazon, UPS, and FedEx. So that space will be occupied frequently. So I'm not saying that is a positive or a negative. I'm just saying we should be mindful of the fact that that will not occasionally be occupied. It will be occupied several times a day. And whatever, however it is marked, it may even be prudent to put a sign up, like the size of, like, say, a handicapped sign that says for deliveries or something like that. Because if it's striped, I would think that, like, an Amazon van would think that they're not allowed to park there, when in fact, that's the intent of that space.
Yeah, we can actually do a sign, and we can
Yeah.
also mark the pavement.
Yeah.
Deliveries only,
Yeah.
That's not a problem, we can do that.
And we can do that as part of resolution compliance.
Oh, yeah, you change your plans.
Okay, so that'll be addressed in the, I guess, should the project be approved tonight in the resolution compliance set. The bump out in the back, I know that's probably more for the architect, but was there any consideration to reconfigure it? Or like, is there a reason it's so, it's narrow, long and narrow, and not more square to the building, so it's not protruding as much? I don't know if you can answer that.
I would leave it to the architect to address that.
Okay. And then the landscape island that's right behind it, was there any consideration, because I'm assuming you did that just to keep your lot coverage, a certain number. Is there a way or any thought of putting that somewhere else on site so you don't have such a narrow drive aisle in that spot?
We can, we can move around, the only thing is then we'll lose the parking spaces.
What if you move it all the way to the left?
We will lose a couple of parking spaces because this area, if we add parking spaces, the drive aisle still will be less if we replace it with the parking spaces.
Okay.
And again, as far as the small drive aisle, which is 16 feet, it only serves these 3 spaces. If you look at it, so basically like that 16 feet, and again, as I mentioned, like we run the template, and first of all, this is residential parking. So I don't anticipate like a lot of traveling back and forth. But this 16 feet is only serving 3 cars. So in case if there is any conflict of a car coming in, car coming out, I believe 16 feet is enough for them to pass. But of course.
But you have an auto parts store in the next building over that runs behind this building all day long.
Yeah.
They run deliveries out of there and they are constantly behind this building. So there's probably more traffic behind the building than there will be in the parking spaces in the front of the building.
Oh, okay. And I think I will leave it to applicant. I think in order to avoid that, we can always put a fence. But again, I don't know like how the arrangement will work between them though.
At the moment, I don't think that that's contemplated because we haven't, as far as I know, spoken with the owner next door, but this is just concerning our parking, not necessarily how they're delivering.
Well, she was making a point of how narrow it is.
It's very narrow,
Understood.
And it's, it's the width of a couple parking spaces, so you have 3 parking spaces. So if you move this to the left, to the last parking space, you're gonna gain that space back over here for 2 more parking spaces.
We will. The only thing is, if the car is parked there, then the drive aisle width is still like 16, maybe 18 feet though. So, or if the board wishes, we can, as far as the retail, I know like the parking variance is basically created by the requirement for retail stores. Currently, I counted is approximately only 23 spaces that serves these stores. There are no changes anticipated in these stores as far as what the uses are in the parking. But the requirement takes us to 28 required. So currently 23 spaces are serving. I think we have more than enough parking. As long as we keep 20 spaces reserved for the residents, I believe any variance in that is enough. Whatever parking is left will be good enough for the retail. So if the board wishes, we can work it out, maybe a loss of 1 or 2 parking spaces, but yeah, we can work that out.
Well, let me ask you this, I'm not sure who would know this more. The property that runs along the back, is that common area or is that private property?
It's my house.
Please.
You will
definitely
the property that runs across the back of the the other building where the bagel place is and the auto store is, are those separated in any way legally, or, how is it that the guy that's in the 002 can drive around the back and then drive across your property to come out? Is there an easement, or is, what's?
It's just a pavement.
I can answer that,
Right across the
Michael.
back.
He tried to fence it probably 20, 25 years ago, and it was open for so long that they made him open it up again. Basically, that it's been a throughway for so long that they won't let him close it off. They actually had it fenced for a short time, and 002 went, they might have got a lawyer involved or something, so I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
And they made him open it up again because it was open for so long, they couldn't let him, they let him use it as a throughway for so many years that they told him they couldn't close it off.
The only thing is it impacts this development right now, this project, so that's why I'm asking.
It does, so, but I don't know how to.
Well, that's why I'm
affect it.
asking,
Yeah.
As far as I know, like, there is no legal easement or rights granted to the neighbor. And again, as part of this application, if that's a concern, and I think there is a valid concern.
Well, it's a question.
Yeah, so I think the
I just know
applicant.
they
And who is
visited
that?
at one
Who is
point.
that?
The owners of 002 at that time.
But it went to a court, or just?
It might
as a-
have, yeah.
Okay, now you might want to look into that. I'm not trying to say to block it. What I'm trying to do is figure out how much the adjacent properties' traffic impacts what you're trying to do here. There's a lot of constraints on your site. It's not clean. And so every little thing that's not in accordance with our plan has to have an impact and be discussed. So I think the landscape square could be moved. I don't think you're going to lose much, but the point of the matter is there's a lot of constraints on this site with parking. And I'm not sure how each one would be dealt with. I agree with the comment about this addition out the back. I don't know if it can be flipped 90 degrees so it's parallel to the building. There's dead space in the back in one spot, there's too tight in another spot. You've got 22 feet of clearance on the main entry to the back. You've got 20 feet for the cars backing out along what used to be the old, I think it was a photomat, yeah. So I don't know whether that shrubbed area can be moved to give you more space there. I have a lot of questions about that, so I think each one you're going to have to address. And, you guys bring up good points, but there's questions. And I'm sure once we get to the public, there'll be more. So,
I will say though, he is offering a lot of parking spaces.
Yes.
For the size of the project, more than some of the other projects that have come here. So I think to his comment, I believe there's adequate parking. Whether there's adequate navigation, that remains.
well, that becomes the problem.
Yeah.
And, we have the ability to provide a variance on parking, as you know, but not just willy-nilly. I mean, like I said, I am concerned with the fact that there's very narrow access areas, and while there's a straight-in approach, which could accommodate fire equipment, I'm sure Mr. Keating will get into that as well with you, so, I'm not sure who started the thing about the parking, but it's gonna continue with a lot more than just that one item, so. Is Mr. Khan done with his presentation
Well,
portion?
Questions?
I have one
Okay,
last
we were
one
still on
to
that? Okay,
ask.
go ahead.
Just one last one. Comment number 16 on the wall. I think you addressed it very clearly in your testimony that it's a 3.5 foot high wall. The detail you provided was very hefty geogrid and whatnot, so that'll be revised. Is there going to be any screening on that wall? Because we don't show any fence on the proposed site plan. I know there's an existing fence, there's a chain link fence, and there's a board-on-board
Something
wooden
solid,
fence
actually.
that's kind of falling apart, for lack of a better word. What is happening with the screening back there? Is that fence staying? Is it on your property? Is it on residents' property behind you? And how are we addressing that?
Yeah, the chain link fence is on the property behind us, so that's not on our property.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's, of course, it's going to stay because we don't have the right to remove that.
What about the wooden fence?
Wooden fence is also on the edge of that property.
Will you be providing any screening on top of the wall? I think it's required because
Yeah, it
you've got
is.
residences behind you.
It
Now,
is
whether you have
required.
a fence on the fence, you know.
Yeah, what we can do is we can provide like the decorative safety fence, metal fence or something mounted on top of the wall for safety, like so that people don't trespass.
I think it's more a question of the screening as opposed to safety. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a 3-foot high wall, yes.
Yeah.
You want it to be safe too, but I think it needs to be something that's privacy fence.
We can do
Unless-
that.
Have
Whatever
other
board, which is
suggestions,
board on
yeah.
board or the vinyl fence, whatever, yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Anything else you got?
Nothing
Anything
else
else?
jumps
Yes.
out at me, yeah.
When you talk about the parking that's for residents, will that be specific spaces assigned to residents, or where there'll be a batch of parking spaces that say resident parking only? How will that work?
The idea again here is like there will be dedicated spaces for each unit owner.
Okay.
And then after the store hours,
Mhm.
they can utilize the other parking as well if they need to, if during the nighttime when the store closes, up until the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Is it gonna be marked?
We can mark or we can place a sign for residents only.
I don't care, I'm just asking.
That was my question.
Yeah.
We can put signs or we can mark them numbers and assign each resident a number.
Okay. And similarly, speaking of shared type of things, the refuse, the dumpster, will that be for both residents and the businesses? And how will that work with there being, I believe there's a restaurant there, which is kind of a more difficult trash situation. So how will that be handled?
The sizing on the size of the structure itself is enough, big enough that we can accommodate. If there's any special requirement for special waste, like say restaurant use, they will be responsible to take care of that. They have to arrange for whatever pickups are required. And, but as far as the storage is only for solid waste and recycling.
Okay, but we are clear that if there is a business whose trash does not go into that dumpster shown, they can't add another dumpster. There's not room on the site.
That is correct, exactly.
Okay. I think that's it. I mean, not so much a question, but just an observation. It's unfortunate that those spaces on the front of the site couldn't be eliminated. I understand that you're meeting the parking requirements, but those, it's just not even safe. But it's an existing condition.
And
Have you gone to the county yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, because they'll have something to say, I'm sure.
But this kind of arrangement is pretty much for the whole block, all the retail, like they, you see, like they have the parking.
That may be, but that doesn't mean it's desirable.
No,
Yeah.
What made you select the back corner of the building for the handicap spots as opposed to closer to where that hash mark is going to be so the handicap can service the retail locations?
The accessibility is mostly to the residences. We can always provide one handicap in the front, one of the parking space, and one in the back for retail. So I mean, those they can be rearranged and they can be provided one for retail in the front.
I was just wondering if it satisfied the requirement for retail space for handicap parking.
It's supposed to be the shortest distance to the access, but again, like we have 4 retails. So it depends, like if you provide here, it will be shortest to the first one, or it's not going to be the shortest to the last one.
But it's certainly shorter to the last
Shorter
one
than
than it is back here in the back
So,
corner.
yeah, we can definitely add another handicap for the retail.
Hey, Mike,
Right here.
could you knock that air conditioning off? Yeah, I think people are cold in here.
You think?
Yeah, it's
Raging.
Turn it down.
Yeah, well, turn it up.
You want hot?
Not really.
Warmer, yes.
warmer.
A little bit warmer, that's all.
I
So
think
it doesn't run.
I think it's wonderful, but
That's true. It's keeping us away.
Thanks, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, just staying on the parking, so the ones up front currently, right now, are just for commercial. Is there a way to keep that just commercial, so there's no overnight parking in the front?
That is the intent, like, again, there are existing commercial, and that's the intent that there will be commercial. A sign can be added saying that commercial parking, so we can always add signs.
Right.
Yeah, we can always add that.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are there garbage containers now separate for each building, or how's it working right now?
I'm not sure about that, though, so I think we can ask the applicant.
I mean, it would, if we knew that there was 3 containers, for example, and now you're going to 1 container, that's an improvement, instead of having, containers all around the back of the building. And I don't know the answer, that's what I'm asking.
We can certainly find that out for you.
Today, there seemed to be 2 containers. I visited the site. There were 2 in the back.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I know that the engineers already did their comments, but there was an earlier comment that I don't know whether or not it was resolved. I seem to remember something about structural difficulty, with the feasibility of getting it from a 1-story building to a 3-story building. I know that was not commented on today. Is that something that has been resolved? Architect.
Oh, and we also did provide a structural feasibility study for the board's review, so they can take a look at that.
You'll have an architect next, right?
Yes, we have the architect.
Well, let's see. I think the architect's going to have to address the issue of that proposed addition in the side and the back. The parking we've gone over, but I'm not content with yet. The strip along Hamburg Turnpike that has the shrubbery, that looks like it's probably, 8 to 10 feet? Can that be reduced to make it a little bit more of a pass-through? I know it's been increased impervious, but,
Yeah.
20 feet's kind of tight.
Yeah, it's very tight. I don't think you have that much room there. I think that shrub's maybe 3 or 4 feet. That shrub line, if you will,
think it's that close?
between the sidewalk and the parking lot.
Between here and there?
The sign is
I
still,
don't
like,
think
if
it's
you
that,
look
I
at
don't
the
think it's
plan
that wide. Yeah?
Is that the scale? Because you got about 2 3/4 feet to the edge of the sign.
That is correct. So if you make it like 4 feet, we will get 24 feet back up to those parking. So I think we have room that we can shrink the landscape area and add the backup height to 24 feet.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, is that may be a possibility where, you could increase that, takes care of that one spot. The 22 feet, I don't know how big the addition has to be, we'll talk to the architect about that. The number of spots, I would like to see the least impact on the adjacent properties, one way or the other. The fencing will help. Does the board have any other questions about the engineer's testimony? Otherwise, I'll go to the architect.
One more, Rick.
Yes.
I'm concerned about the stripe, the hatch parks, that's just what you were bringing up. How are we stopping retail from parking in the hatch if there's no spots? So if I'm going running into a store to pick up something really quick, there's no spots, I'm gonna park in that hatched area. Even though it's illegal, I understand that. You're asking people to park there, in my opinion, because it's space that's open.
Yeah, and I think we can put the signs and caution signs and things like that. Yeah, of course, human behavior is like, we cannot change that. So if they couldn't find the parking, they will try to just go and grab.
But the applicant is willing to, do as much as they can to prevent that by putting up signs, like for deliveries only, no parking.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the public session just for what Mr. Khan has discussed. Not anything to do with the architecture, the building, the adjustments that we just talked about, but just to get their input on the site layout. So if you're prepared to answer questions, I'm going to open up the meeting to the public just for what Mr. Khan has discussed. So if any of you have questions about that part, there'll be another open session for the architect, and then there'll be one final one before we take a vote, if we get that far. So just to assure you, you got chances to speak. So, questions, yeah. So, just your name and your address and come up here to the microphone, please.
Sir, am I allowed to make comments or just questions?
Questions first, and then we'll have comments.
Questions first.
You gotta come up by the mic.
Come up.
That's okay.
Then you can see.
If you want to sit, you can sit, you can stand, your choice.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you.
Just
for
questions, just
inviting- Okay, do you want to know who I am?
Yes,
Yes.
your
Yeah, I was
name and
gonna
your
tell you my
address.
name.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Kimberly Adams. This is my
Mark
husband, Mark
Adams.
Adams. We live at 10 Quonic Avenue. We're Lot 8 in Pompton Lakes. Our home and backyard is located right behind the dumpster that's in the picture, in the back side corner. We have comments that we'll share later, but for the questions, I made a few notes. I was just gonna read what I wrote. This is my first time in here, so I want to make sure that I'm following your rules. Let's talk quickly, or my question about the parking spots. Was there a study done? So I'm hearing a lot of numbers. In the notification we got, I believe that they were looking for 48 parking spots. 48 parking spots. And now it's gone down to 45 parking spots, and that's being discussed. I wanted to know if there's been, what kind of cars are used for your parking spaces? Is there going to be like 2 cars per unit? Is there going to be, for the 2 bedrooms, maybe 3 cars per unit, and will they be assigned?
They will be assigned, and again, as part of the requirements, we require 2 parking spaces for each unit, and that's what we do.
So 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, do you have 3 bedrooms as well?
I think we have 1 3-bedroom, 4 1-bedrooms, and 5 2-bedrooms as the architect.
So if all the apartment spaces, if the apartments are full, and there's families who have more than 2 cars, and they're not assigned spots, where do you think the overflow of that parking is gonna go?
I believe that is when we're going to contemplating the lease, they will be told that there are only 2 spaces. So if that doesn't work for them, we will have to find another space.
Would it be permissible to say that they would go to Paquonic Avenue, which is right there, and leave their cars in front of homes and residences?
I would say that that's probably outside the purview of the engineer's testimony, and, this is just how we calculate the number of required parking spaces.
Okay, so I guess that I would raise questions about, if you're telling people 2, and they have 3 cars, like teenagers with cars, motorcycles, trucks, and I don't know how large the spaces are. I don't know if like a large SUV will fit in next to a smaller vehicle, or not, but could you explain that to me, please?
Each parking space is 9 feet by 18 feet, which is a standard engineering requirement, or requirements for RSIS, which is Residential Site Improvement Standards. So the state gives you certain standards that it has to meet those requirements. And the standard is 9 feet by 18 feet. And that's what we are proposing. Usually your SUV, let's say Ford 150 or slightly bigger trucks, they're about 16 feet long, 16 and a half. Suburban is 16 and a half feet long. So these 9 by 18 feet spaces are good enough to park those bigger vehicles.
Okay. How many lights are in the complex right now of this property?
I'm not sure about that. I didn't count it existing.
And how many lights are you going to put in?
We are proposing, let's see. We are proposing a light pole right here, which is by Amber, another one here, one on this side in this green island. Again, I believe your house is here, I believe?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So again, there will be all away from your house. The second one is by the trash enclosure.
Right in front of the
That's our house.
That's my house.
That is your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these light fixtures are facing towards the parking lot. And again, as I mentioned, like the fixtures we selected are LED, They're full cut off, it means like you don't see the glow or shine going across, and they're all damaged.
And can I ask, right now, there is a pole holding wires that is in between, our home and, Frank's house here right on the lot, on the corner.
Supposed to put it all the way into the corner.
Is there a proposal to move that all the way back where the trash is?
Yes, it's an existing lily pole to be relocated, and we have the new location, I believe, right here.
And can you explain,
What does that do?
what's that gonna entail? How's that, what's height is that? And,
It's the same pole, like usually, what the process for the utility pole relocation is, first you have to find out which utility company are using that pole. It can be Verizon, it can be Optimum, it can be 2 or 3 different companies. So you have to coordinate with them, but one company would be the owner of the utility pole. So you have to contact them, you have to find, and that's all done part of the construction process. So before any work is done on the property, you contact the utility company, they contact the other utilities, and then this basically give you a proposal or whatever, the applicant has to pick up the tab, they schedule, and then it's been done.
so will the wires then be coming from the street now all the way through the backyards of our homes that are right there, in addition, to the high rising of the units you're trying to put in?
No, actually what will happen is like the utility pole is shifting from here to here. So the path of the wires will remain the same, it's not shifting. It's only the location of the pole is being shifted.
So they don't, the wires don't shift down with the pole?
The shift was like this, wherever the pole, like whatever is connecting right now, so if it's connecting from the street to the pole, and the pole moves up, like so it's going to still connect from the street to the pole, but the pole is a little further up.
The pole is there to support the street lines. That's why that pole's there. So you're gonna have a big cable going straight across, in my view, in my backyard, going to the other side. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And the dumpster, the setback for a dumpster in this should be how far from my property?
I think it's 17 feet.
17 feet.
17.5. Yes, 17.5.
So,
And you requested how much?
We are putting right on the property.
So 0?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to confirm that. And so that is for a trash receptacle.
Hmm.
Is it fenced in?
Yeah, it's all like a vinyl fence. It's like an enclosure with vinyl fence.
And what is your, what have you built in, and maybe it's not for you, it's for someone else, but for rodents? Because the trash from the pizzeria, from the, adding all of these 2 floors.
and the smell.
And the smell and the odor, how are you gonna prevent that from happening? You have to put the dumpster, if it's going right, and we
On our
object to
property.
that.
It's a permitted use currently, like whatever the uses are on the property, they are permitted use. So it's a
And-
residence.
Yeah, and if I may, that does
Yes.
sit outside of the engineer's purview.
Okay, so who would we ask that question to, someone who's here tonight?
The best person to ask that would be the applicant, so if we have to put the applicant, we.
Sure, yeah, we just wanna make sure we fully understand we're here to,
It's a legitimate question, it needs to be answered.
Yes, yes.
That's fine.
Okay, so that's it, like that. The rodents, the structure wall, the retaining wall. There is a wall there now. Is that being taken out and redone? 3.5 feet, is that correct?
Yes,
It's
So,
gonna be right on the property line,
it's going to be on the property line.
so it's gonna be right next to my fence.
so we have a fence that's up, and people sit on it and smoke on it.
I think as per the comment from the, they want us to put some kind of a screen on top of the wall, so
Yes.
that's something is going to prevent it.
Okay, will prevent people from doing that. will
Or
prevent-
sitting on the fence.
Even though, I just want to say for the record, that we do object to it being 0 feet.
Well,
I know, we'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, let me just see, I just made some notes. The large signs that you have, those are out of scope as well, those are out of the ordinances, correct, for the town?
The freestanding sign is
Yes.
actually, I mean, this is not the sign that's going to be there, it's just like a placeholder for now. So, yeah, we are asking for a few variances for that.
And it's being raised up higher than a regular, the allotted amount for, right now?
10 feet is required, we are 12 feet, but we can work out and we can push it back to 10 feet.
Okay, and I believe that you wanted, the signs, you had testified that you said that, the additional for the larger sign is that you want, people to really see the signs when they're coming down. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not, doesn't mean like it's going
Are
to
they
be
gonna
like
be lit?
a McDonald's or the gas station type sign. It will be just like you see, like if you go to like a retail store where there are multiple tenants, you just put their signs.
And just to clarify, that sign that you're referring to will be towards the front of the property?
Yeah.
Correct, not on the side that is
That's correct,
abutting
it's
your
right
property?
here, yeah, it's right here
Just
by
one
the
clarify.
Amber Temple.
Okay,
And that is one of the things that the board has a say in. So, you know, you ask your questions and then we'll deal with it.
okay. I think that, I made some notes, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware it was question only, I was just gonna read something.
Okay.
Can I ask, from the last time, is this a pet building that's gonna be coming in?
It's not really a
No.
question for the
No?
engineer.
Okay, I heard someone ask it on an earlier hearing, so I was curious about that as well, because that makes a difference with the yarding and the grass.
They may have asked
For
about
pets.
the pet area.
I may, Chairperson, I just asked for a walking area for the dogs.
Yes, would there be that, I guess? I'm wondering,
Not a
because there's no
no-
grass.
Nothing is proposed.
Yeah, I can confirm this is not going to be a pet building.
No.
Yes, the applicant has indicated.
Okay. Anything else for right now, Mark?
The allotted green space that's supposed to be for the lot, you're putting 3 trees. There used to be, on that wall, there used to be multiple trees shading us from seeing that building, and they were taken down. So now,
It's
We're gonna
just
have-
supposed to be questions.
oh,
Questions?
Yeah, and
That's a
let
question,
me,
isn't
yeah,
it?
let me explain why. The way the municipal land use law is set up is applicants are allowed to put on their case, and everybody's really good to question it, and then afterwards, anybody that wants to say anything, bring in a witness, bring testimony, give your opinions.
Comment.
All the
That's why I said you'll have another shot at it.
All the time in the world.
Okay.
But it just, that's how it's designed. It is not limiting you, it's setting the time when people do it. So please,
sure.
everybody's gonna have a comment, you'll get to do it, but I should say, the applicant gets to go, and then the public says everything that they want.
And the reason I separated out the engineer from the architect is because sometimes people they have questions, they don't want to wait till the end, so we get everything addressed that he dealt with. Architect comes up and we'll have questions for what he dealt with,
Okay.
then come the comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
My last question, just for right now. The back wall that borders where the trash is going in our fence, we used to have all green trees, all beautiful green trees that blocked the view. They were all cut down.
You mean on applicant's property, right here?
Behind, yes. They're on the wall. There were trees on the wall.
They were probably wild-grown trees, if I had to guess.
They were,
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
So if the wall is put where they claim it's going to be, they already addressed it, they would be putting in some kind of fencing that would be kind of like the equivalent of trees, it's just going to be solid.
Okay, so like a higher height.
Which will also hopefully prevent people from parking on the wall.
Okay.
Meaning
Sitting and smoking.
How is
Yeah.
it when you propose to take away that wall? What are you gonna support my property from falling into your property when you take that wall down?
Usually like 3.5 feet with you take, like when you take the existing wall and put it. Usually it's not like, unless you have like really sandy soil and you have a drainage conditions like water intrusion or high groundwater, then you will be worried about slope stability. Otherwise, I know in this area it's mostly clay, sandy soil. So it's not something that once you remove 3 feet and everything's going to fall.
That soil back there is,
It's not sandy.
it's not sandy, but it is gravelly. It's not clay at all.
And usually there are mechanisms like you can provide a temporary shoring to shore that bank, whatever is there. If it's that kind of a soil that you can see, like you can have the stability issues, you can always shore it. It's only 3.5 feet. Based on my experience, I think you can just do with wood planks or plywood, just hold it and then construct the new walls. restore everything.
I think we can address that by making sure that there's a condition in the, if there's an approval, a condition could be made to say that any work that disturbs an adjacent property has to be restored to the original condition, regardless. So if it stands and it doesn't need anything, so be it, but if all of a sudden there's a problem, or you come across a huge boulder and it goes inside the property line, it's on you to, or on your applicant, to make it good. So I think we can just leave that assurance for now, that it'll help you to understand that if for any reason they disturb your property, they would have to fix it.
And my last question, the stories for the apartments, there's balconies, I'm sorry, on the back. We're starting to talk about that, or no?
I will leave it to the architect.
Oh, that's right, okay. Thank you, will be the question.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry, thank you
No
very
problem,
much.
no problem.
Super important to us, so, everything.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Khan? Yes, sir. Come up, let your name and your address, please.
Chris Berlante, 26 Paquonic Ave. My question is in regards to the garbage right there. Have you considered swapping that with this landscape plan, or moving it farther away from the residential backyards to maybe over here, which I think borders maybe some town property in this back corner? Have you, and then I know then the architect would have to move this stair here, but this would solve numerous complaints by moving the garbage away from most of the residents back like this.
Yeah, we looked at it originally. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think original plan was, was the garbage in this area. We can definitely look into it. I think one of those things like the accessibility, I know it would be convenient for the retail, for the tenants, but for the retail, it will be a long run to go there. So that's why we kept it here, so that it's convenient for both the residents as well as the.
I think all the retail have back doors here, so I don't think it's a long run.
So the question is, can they relocate?
Relocate the garbage.
Okay.
We can look into it and, we'll
Okay,
try to-
that's a valid
Yeah,
question.
the applicant is certainly willing to look into it, but it could mean the loss of parking spaces.
Okay, so
You'll actually gain a parking space. If you moved this all the way over here and put this in the corner, you'll actually gain a parking space right there.
I don't think a truck can back into that
Yeah.
other space.
That will be a circulation issue.
We may have to lose parking spaces.
I think we're
It's
just
certainly
gonna,
something that we can look into.
we're gonna leave it as a question, it's a legitimate question for you to look into it. And we'll see how it goes. Anything else we can do?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir, come on up. Again, your name and your address, please.
Brett Blake, 11 Pequannock. A couple quick questions. The structure in the back that's projecting out, did you get any consultation from the fire department, turning radius, apparatus? Is there any fire lane marking, and does that affect the parking in there?
We actually did get a review letter from the fire department today, and I don't believe that was a comment that they made.
Mr. Keating?
Yeah, the only thing I was concerned about, sir, was the access to it, not getting a fire truck all the way around it. I just wanted the 22 feet, which the engineer brought up, so we can get a fire apparatus to that dumpster area, just in case there's a dumpster fire or a vehicle fire. So I did not want to commit an apparatus that far into behind the building.
Could get trapped in the back there too easily.
Yeah.
And just to your point, that was not a comment that the fire department made in their review letter.
Correct. Mr. Keating's our fire official. So you get the comments from him and you get the questions from him.
My question is, because I'm a retired firefighter, as you come in off of Hamburg Turnpike, you're not going to be able to make that turn to get to the back of the building. And if you come in the other way from 002 with that projection, you're not going to be able to get to the back of the building. And that's one question. And my other question is, you have traffic coming from the 002 flow, and you're going to have traffic going this way. What's going to happen with all that congestion in there? How are people going to navigate with parking, and there's no flow? There's not going to be any room to get around the building.
They're gonna have to address that because we had some similar questions.
My other question was on the old photomat lot. I don't know how big they're saying that area is, but if you have head-in parking are you gonna have enough room to back out with the shrub line and all that? I mean, how big is that,
Yeah, I think that's one of the comments that the chairman asked
Yeah.
us, like.
20
so,
feet.
Right now, we have
Sure.
20 feet.
Yeah.
But we have a room, we can push it to 24 feet, which is again required for backing up. And
They're
again-
gonna have to
Yeah.
address some of these issues and,
yeah, I mean, reality, what it says on the paper and reality is another thing. If you pull in head in and there's 5 cars parked, you're not gonna be able to cut back to back out without running over these shrubs or whatever. I mean, I walk through that lot many times a day, it's just not that big.
okay, we'll address the question.
So,
The comments you can hold for later.
My other question is, the mayor brought it up about the striping, the deliveries. What about the deliveries to the commercial businesses? They're gonna park in there, but now, if they're parked in there, people are trying to come into the lot to park, you're gonna have congestion on Hamburg Turnpike. You're gonna have people backing up, with traffic there because there's just not gonna be enough room for all these cars to get into this property.
That's what we have right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe the engineer did testify that this is also an existing condition, not only here, but on several of the adjacent commercial
Was there-
lots as well.
was there
So
any
it's not
kind of-
something that doesn't.
Was there any kind
And
of
and the
traffic?
county will have to address that as well, because it's on a county road. So this has to be, when we're done with it, they can't go anywhere until they get a county approval.
Alright, that'll do for now, thanks.
Sure, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public session for Mr. Khan, and thank you, and we'll just keep you on hand for a little while and see what goes on next.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I know, it's, we'll stop the meeting at about 11,
Okay.
so,
I was gonna ask for a 5-minute recess if that was possible. We've been at it 3 hours, so,
That's fine with us.
or just me, maybe.
it's okay, if you want 5 minutes, go ahead.
Right.
I'm just going to hold off for 5 minutes. It's now,
10:35, 8 minutes.
yeah, 5 minutes.
10:35.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Fine. Fine.
I was gonna hope we said you go down
July 15th.
Call me back on? Okay, so we're resuming at, what was that, 10:37? Okay, what we're gonna do, just so everyone knows, the 11 o'clock is our bewitching hour, so we'll hear from the architect. Probably carry questions for the architect to next month. We're certainly not gonna complete the application tonight, so we'll start with the presentation now.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was going to be my suggestion. We'd like to get some preliminary testimony in for the architect, and, you know, we've had some good feedback from the board members, from the public. We'd like to take that, try and work on what we can, and see if we can submit some revised plans, taking into account all the comments that we've heard tonight.
Perfect. And while we're on that topic,
Yes.
a suggestion that we would make, several of the board members agree, you might want to contact the county and discuss with them what you're trying to do, because while you don't have to do that, I mean, that's certainly your choice, but it may affect what you bring back to the board. And so my biggest concern is the area along the front of the property. The county has issues with anything that fronts on the county road, and it may affect drainage, it may affect parking, it may affect setbacks, I don't know. It's just, it would be prudent, if you care to just have a discussion with them,
Certainly.
and this way it maybe guides you a little bit.
We can absolutely reach out to them.
Okay. Look, please go ahead then.
Raise your right hand, state your name, and spell your last.
Yogesh Mistry, Yogesh Mistry.
You swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
You in relation to Heddle Mystery?
I probably know that person, but
Okay.
not related to them.
Okay.
So can you please elaborate on your licenses and qualifications as a professional architect?
Sure. I am a licensed architect in New Jersey. Have been since 2000. I have a bachelor's degree in architecture from New Jersey Institute of Technology, as well as a master's in management. I've been practicing over 25 years. I currently have a practice in Bud Lake, New Jersey. I've testified as a
professional architect in many zoning and planning boards throughout northern New Jersey, including this one.
And are your New Jersey licenses?
Yes.
Thank you. Acceptable.
Okay. So you were retained to draft the architectural plans for this project, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so please walk us through the plans you prepared and what is being proposed.
Sure. I'll just start with this exhibit. I believe this was submitted as part of the package that was submitted on behalf of our firm. This is a 3D color rendering of the proposed project. It doesn't have a date on it. It just says 714, 720 Hamburg Turnpike mixed use, Pompton, New Jersey on it.
Pardon me for interrupting. This was actually not part of the original application, so this would be applicant's A1.
Yeah, and do you have any hard copies? Because you have to have a hard copy that the board can maintain. So do we have any?
I don't have a rendering of this.
I apologize. I did have hard copies, 11 by 17, and I left them at home thinking this was all digital.
We will provide them.
I left them at the office.
We will provide them next day.
So describe a little bit, yeah, A1, what exactly is it? And you'll provide a hard copy.
Sure. It's a 3D color rendering prepared by our office showing the front and kind of right side of the project in this proposed manner. It's also showing to the left slightly the auto parts store that's currently existing and showing the immediate parking in the front of the building.
So this would be exhibit A1.
A1?
A1.
I just wanted to start with this because it kind of gives you a general overview. I think the engineer kind of described the general intent of our project, which is to keep, there's an existing one-story strip center, retail center. I believe there's 3 stores currently. There's kind of 4 slots for the retail stores. 2 of them are a liquor store, and I believe there's a pharmacy and a pizza to the left side of the building. Those are going to remain. There's also a basement. The footprint of the building is 5,630 square feet approximately, and the basement is essentially the same footprint down, and the basement is essentially just storage. So we want to retain that, and then we want to put 2 stories of residential apartments directly on top of the building. And the 2 stories of apartments will compose of 10 new apartments. Those 10 apartments are broken down into 4 one-bedroom, 3 two-bedroom, and 1 three-bedroom. Is that right? 4 one-bedroom, 3 two-bedroom. Wait, what is that? 5. Sorry, 5. 5 two-bedroom and 1 three-bedroom. So a total of 10 units. And the proposed total height of the building is 3 stories, and it's going to be 40 feet, 6.5 inches from average grade to the top. There also will be, I'm going to kind of switch exhibits, switching to these are the architectural drawings that were submitted as part of the application. I don't know if I need to mark this, but these are the same drawings. Again, this first page, A1.01, shows the existing conditions. There's the 2 floor plans of the first floor and the basement at the bottom of the page. You kind of see the photos running along the top. It's just kind of a simple, sort of an outdated strip mall. And these are the proposed floor plans, starting in the bottom right. The basement is going to remain as is. We are going to add a stair, an elevator tower to the right. That will connect all the floors, including the basement. And then there's a stair tower in the rear of the building, which would only serve the residential portion of the building. To the left of that is the first floor plan. Again, the retail tenants would stay the same. To the right is the stair and elevator tower for the residential apartments. And then at the rear is the fire stair tower at the rear to serve the residential units. And then the second and third floor, which are almost identical, will have 5 units per floor. Again, broken down into the ratio I just mentioned in terms of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, or 3 bedrooms. There'd be kind of 3 units that face the Hamburg Turnpike, and then 2 units that face the rear of the property. Just a corridor down the middle, and it kind of connects the 2 fire stairs. All the units will be ADA adaptable. They'll be ADA accessible through the elevator. And there'll be, all new, up-to-date, modern apartments. They'll all be sprinklered. The one bedroom will have 790 square feet at minimum. 2 bedrooms are 1,090 square feet or larger, and the 3 bedroom is 1,270 square feet. And then these are the elevations that I think that are depicted on the rendering. We are looking to kind of redo the whole facade of the building, including the ground floor and of course the upper floors. Our idea on this was to do kind of these bay windows that face the street, just to give the residents some, kind of a nicer view towards the street, as well as just articulate the facade and kind of break up the colors as well. We do want to do kind of clean up the signage band that's going across the retail. The area of the signage will stay the same, and just kind of reconstruct that. We do want to do some facade renovation. We're going to put some brick veneer over the sort of the ground floor level along the front. The upper floors and the kind of residential areas will be beneath the stucco, kind of two-toned colors there. And I know there was a comment regarding the stair in the back and why it was oriented, kind of perpendicular to the building versus sort of parallel. And it's really essentially because of what's going on in the back. There's exit doors for the retail tenants in the back. So if I rotated that 90 degrees, it would, impede on those exits. In addition, anything on the second and third floors kind of block all the windows. So, kind of positioned it the way it is because of that reason. I know there were also fire comments regarding fire department connections and locations for fire alarm panels. We have no problem kind of coordinating that with the fire department, and wherever is appropriate for them, we could we could locate it accordingly, and as well as providing a knock response where they feel it's required. That's really it. I think it's we feel it's a great improvement to the property. It provides mixed use. Sort of something that, to a property that's kind of underutilized. I've been there many times, and, the parking lot is definitely not full. There's people that kind of come in and out of the liquor store, and then, I think the other two tenants are going to use. One thing, I know there was a comment regarding the access to the back between the two properties. My understanding with discussing with the client is that, his intention is to block that and just put a fence up, because he doesn't want people from that side, once this development is done, to kind of go onto his property and use his parking stalls. He doesn't know of any easements or any restrictions, preventing him from doing that. But I think that's about it for me.
Yeah?
Any questions from the board?
Okay, I think rather than have questions from us or the public, we'll call it a night, I believe. Anyone have a problem with that? Would you, no? Okay. The announcement will be that this will continue at the next planning board meeting, which is scheduled, would you say, July 22nd?
July 22nd.
July 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Those who got notices. 15th, yeah.
22nd is too far out.
Yeah, July 15th at 7:30 p.m. right here, with continuation, questions for the architect, any other testimony they want to bring, and then we'll have discussion, we'll have comments, and we'll see where we go with that.
And just to clarify, we will not need to renotice for this meeting,
There'll be
correct?
no notice required, note that this continues on to July 15th.
Thank you.
And the notice that the planner puts out, planning department puts out, will also show it. So if anybody has any questions, that'll be in the newspaper anyway. You good with all that?
I am.
Okay, so the applicant's okay, board is okay? We're not done yet, guys, we got a few more quick questions, okay? So I'm just going to, stop the public meeting now, and then you guys are free to leave. We just have a couple more minor things to go over, and then we can go home.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks for stopping in and helping us with this.
My pleasure. Do you want me to want this until the next meeting?
Yeah, because you're gonna have to update everything.
Yeah, possibly.
As far as the plans that I do have, I'm going
Board to
you want me to
discuss-
back, or you want to?
You can hang on to them for now.
Destroy them.
Still doing stuff. We're still going.
Okay.
And one sleep.
Is it too hard? Holy shit.
I know, I've never done it before. Wow, come up.
Thank you.
I'm not giving you this anymore.
Maybe we should be jealous.
Board to discuss a recommendation to the council for a change in ordinance regarding correspondence from Wayne. Is that on the photographs?
So I have those copies, I wasn't sure if we're gonna discuss it tonight, so I didn't hand them out to everybody. But they've been handed out like several times, and then we just keep pushing it. And then we were waiting for, you to, review and respond.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you want me to pass them out? Do you want to discuss this, or? should
Pass them
I-
out, we can discuss it next month, and pass them out, we'll all be on the same page then.
All right, I can forward that. to
Or actually, yeah,
the
just
next
send it by
packet.
email, sure.
Okay.
And, okay, we did that. Okay, I'm gonna open the meeting one more time for public discussion on any matter. Everybody's gone, so I'll close it. And anybody have anything else they want to bring up? No? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Sorry?
You can stay
Wait a second, John,
Is that your
John
public
Keating
comment?
has some questions.
Who motioned, I'm sorry.
I did.
Brian and me.
The two musketeers over here.
And Otto? Sure.
Wow, that was something.